Well, here's some news that may just shake Sooner Nation to its core.
I think the logical consequence is that Nagy's he's just not going to pay any attention to what's going on with the recruiting services. So we may see OU sign the guys Nagy wants from.
Good morning, and welcome back to Rise and Shine College Football. I'm your host, Jason Watkins. He's Big Mike Boganowski. And if you love college football, you know you're in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring the bell so you don't miss one moment of Hall of Fame college football. What's up, big dog?
Dude, just grinding out here, man.
Out
Just
here
grinding.
grinding.
Yep. Trying to get some stuff done in the yard. Baseball's full swing. Like spring practice going down.
Oh, it's going
Dealing with
down.
these allergies, bro.
Hey, man, I'm telling you, I'm dying on those ones too. What's up there, Billy on and Drewski? Welcome into the show, gentlemen. Them song is funky. Man, we're all about the funk, bro. We all about the funk. Hey, it's getting funky in Sooner Nation right now too. As you saw there on that little deal, and I can play more of that video here in just a few minutes, but it appears that it sounds to me like, when Chris Mason kind of dropped this bombshell in our lap last night on the show with Kchris from Horns Down Podcast, and of course Sooners 360's Chris Mason, he was talking about that it appears that Oklahoma is truly going to embrace an NFL style of running its program and not depend at all on the recruiting services at 247 on 3 rivals, ESPN, whatever. I mean, to me, it makes sense, but the consequences of that could be that your recruiting rankings go down. Or they could go up, depending on, if they start listening and paying attention to the fact that he's been a scout for 18 years, plus, running the Senior Bowl for another 7 after that, 25 years in the NFL, basically 4 wins in the Super Bowl from teams that he's helped fill with players.
So let me interrupt you right here.
All right.
Right. And I might just like shut this podcast down and solve all the problems right here, like less than 5 minutes into it. But I gotta say this. Who would you rather have evaluating your talent? A guy like Jim Nagy, proven, done it at a high level, probably the highest level, or some cat that sits behind his computer most of the day at a recruiting service, may have not ever played football in his life. I don't know. Big decision. Like, here's what I'll tell you, right? So, like, when I think about like recruiting services, like Mike, Junction City, kind of off the beaten path of, the big Kansas City metro area, maybe Topeka and down to Wichita, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can count on one hand how many times people actually came to watch him play. But yet,
bingo,
recruiting and rankings and evaluations are coming from those guys.
Listen, the truth is, there are 32 5-stars in the country. 32, or I guess when you put all the services together, they may have some differences. They usually always have some differences. So let's spread it out a little bit and say there's 50 of them between the 4 services, because you're going to have some differences. Some are up, some are down, whatever. But that's coming out of, I don't know, what do you think? 2,000, 3,000, 10,000 high schools that play high school football throughout the country.
Yeah.
And the vast majority of which never has a representative from 247, On3, Rivals, ESPN that actually goes and scouts a game. They wait for what's most convenient for them, which is for kids to show up at one of their satellite camps, pay their $300 to $500 to go get graded. And if they go to enough of them and they're good enough, they're going to get their stars.
So here's the deal too, right? Here's what people got to realize. Each one of these recruiting services has their regional guys, right?
Sure, of course.
They have their regional guys. And those regional guys send up their recommendations to the national guys.
Mm-hmm.
And
so my answer to that yesterday was, my thought about that yesterday was who do I believe? Do I believe Jim Nagy or Parker Thune?
But here's the deal. Those guys send it up to the national guys, and they choose to ignore it or, take it for what it's worth and take the recommendation of the regional guy. But, in most cases, those national guys, they go with the hype.
And I mean, this isn't even really a taking of I'm not trying to take big shots at those guys. It's their business and it's what they do. But we've been trying to tell people on this show for a while now that it's not an exact science if you're just paying attention. Because listen, we deal with it in here when you've got certain people that watch all these pods, all the Sooner pods, and they're so stuck on the 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars. If we don't get him, we are gonna suck.
Yeah.
This guy ain't worth the shit. Yo, you got this guy from FCS. Why the hell should we? You know what? It's not an exact science. And what I was getting at a minute ago, look, out of all those guys, we're talking about 32 guys to 50. If we were saying 50 5-star guys in the nation, out of all those thousands of schools that play high school football every year, most of which those guys do not even get touched. They don't get looked at ever because their parents or grandparents or whoever may be raising them can't afford to buy them new cleats every year, much less send them across the country to go to one of these camps.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To me, it's just it's why that these guys, it's not an exact science, because they find guys every year that move forward. We did the show with Dent the other night on his channel, talking about same kind of stuff. FCS guys that end up, moving through the portal into SEC schools and all over the country. I mean, think about Cam Ward. He was at Incarnate Word a couple of years ago, goes to Washington State, plays for Ben Arbuckle, then goes to Miami this year and has almost 5,000 yards total, and is probably either going to be the first or second guy taken in the draft quarterback-wise. Then you got Cam Scatterboot, Sacramento State, 1,700 rushing yards and 600 receiving yards, 24, 25 touchdowns. I mean, what are we talking about? The rookie of the year defensive player for the Rams played at Albany for his first 2 years before he transferred to Florida State.
Yep.
Maybe it's better if you have the scouting department go and take a look.
Yeah, I'm not and here's the deal. and here, this is my take, and it's probably not very popular, but the team ranking shit don't win you championships. You know, you're on your recruiting team ranking doesn't win you championships, man. Like, here's what you don't ever see is how many of these 5-stars don't pan out, right?
It's
Only
a
thing
bigger
you
number
hear
than you
about,
think. It's a bigger number than you think.
yeah, all the only ones you hear about are the ones that actually pan out or ball. You know what I mean? Like that's and that's the same thing with these camps too, right? If you go to a camp and you bomb, like nobody's going to report anything bad. You know what I mean? Michael Boganowski went to the camp and just sucked, couldn't even tie his own shoelaces, right? They're not going to report that. They're not going to write about it. They're not going to do nothing. It's only about how you did in a positive aspect. So, I mean, for a lot of these camps, man, it only helps. It can't ever really hurt you, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I would rather Oklahoma get Brent Venables guys, the guys that he wants and his staff wants, than to get the popular pick, right? The kid that's got a and listen, man, there's a lot of entitlement and ego that comes along with these 5-stars, and just because, you know, 2 to 3 years leading up to them getting to the university, they're told that they're it. They're the man. They're the next greatest thing in the game of football. And what they don't realize is they got to get to campus and perform. And you're right back to square one. And ain't nothing given and ain't nothing handed out to you. You gotta come in and earn it. And some kids don't take it that well. Some kids can't handle it. And some kids embrace it, right? And
Yeah.
I think you see some of the 5-stars that we got, here recently, especially David Stone and Fasusi, like they didn't come to just like this wasn't the pinnacle of their career, being a 5-star getting to Oklahoma. You know
Sure.
what I mean? Like they're here to work. They're embracing it and they're getting after it. And I'm not saying all 5-stars are like that. Don't.
No, they're not. And here's the other part of it too, is that, and somebody asked last time, well, what does that do to your soul mission? I think soul mission's as big a part of it as any of it. It's just like the NFL.
I don't get what do they mean?
Will it change the way will it change soul mission? Or are they going to go after guys just, the question was asked, are they just going to start going after guys that fit the mold that is who you want to recruit?
Listen,
Well, part of the mold is their character and how they fit.
Soul mission doesn't fit to a mold, right? Soul mission is soul mission. I don't give a good goddamn if you're a 5-star, if you're a no star. You need to be on soul mission. You need to be of service. You need to you need to think about somebody other than yourself, and give back and prepare yourself for life after football. Because guess what, homie? Football ends for everybody. You know what I mean? And
One day you're going to have to stop playing a game.
You have to prepare for that. And guess what? Enter soul mission. I don't give a damn if you're number 1 or 3,000 in the country. It applies. It's applicable. So that type of recruiting doesn't change what soul mission is or what soul mission does. Soul mission is a discriminator, right? So let's say you have school A and school B, and you really like them both, right? And let's say mom and dad or maybe just mom's in the picture, and mom's like, well, mom's thinking about after football, right? And so mission, moms and dads really love it. So that's what gives a school a leg up, because they're thinking about bettering your child as a person and preparing them for the future, while other school, maybe is just worried about getting them on campus in NIL, right? Two things can both be the same, but guess what? That soul mission just gives you a little bump. Gives you a little bump. It's a discriminator.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, and if you think about it, even in the NFL, I mean, they have there's certain guys that they won't touch because of whatever may have happened during their career in college.
Yeah. I mean,
some guys they'll take chances on certain guys because because of their talent, but some guys they won't. If you've been in enough shit,
what schools out there pay for your child to go to Hawaii, to go to Brazil, to go to South Africa? Right? Just think about that. I've never been to either one of them. You know what I mean? Like I've
right.
never and it's just crazy to me. Like you go there, affect these kids, spend time with these kids, or let's say when they went to Hawaii, they went to the part of the island that burned down, right? And helped there, cleaned up a baseball field, got a baseball field ready to play. You know what I mean? Like giving stuff to the kids. I mean, if you the problem is the people that are against Soul Mission have never done in my opinion, have never done anything like that in their life. You know what I mean? And they don't know the rewards and how it makes you feel as a person to be unselfish and give back to somebody. You know what I mean? Like that's just my opinion. I could be wrong. Maybe people have done that, but they just want to win games. But if you do something like that, you can't deny the way that makes you feel. And that's just me. Like, I'll give an example, man. Like, I was made to go do service, right? I was in Afghanistan for a year. And, part of our mission was to get schools back open and win the hearts and minds of the people,
Of
right?
course it was.
So there was a school,
Always
right?
part of the mission in a war.
Yep, they're right across. There's a school right across,
Yep.
right? And it got built. Everything was sweet, brand new. Never had a kid in it. We fought like hell to get it back open. We got it back open. And I remember when we used to go out and give out school bags to the kids because we was getting all that stuff sent to us. Dude, the look on these kids' face, like when they open up a book bag and they see pens and pencils in there and like a ream of paper, it was like they just opened up the bag and there was 3 bars of gold in there. You know what I mean? It was crazy. Like those people in Afghanistan, it was like they were living in the 1800s still. You know what I mean? And it was crazy, man. They thought like my sunglasses, my Oakley tactical glasses, like had a computer in them and like I could see through stuff. You know what I mean? It was wild, man. If your little thing right here where your pencil's stuck, if you didn't guard your pens and pencils, them kids would come up and pickpocket your ass for your pens and pencils.
Hell
It was
yeah.
crazy.
Mhm.
But it's stuff like that that gives you perspective and make you
Shit, that
realize
brings
that
me
what
back.
you're doing is bigger than you.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, it Chrissy, I'd like to tell you that you don't always come into the show and say something stupid, but then you say something stupid when you pop into the show. It boggles the mind how you can say stuff like that, blanket statement after blanket statement after blanket statement, and it's silly shit.
I don't even understand what he meant. What do you mean?
It's all about. I guess it's just all about measurables and talent. So
Like, why can't it be both?
it
That's
can be
what I
both, and
don't
that's the whole
understand.
thing. And really,
Don't understand it.
usually the guys that have some kind of character about them, aside from just being a straight up gangster on the field, if you've got a little character to you, you work a little harder and become a little better.
Yeah. Well, maybe that kid that's
Yeah,
never done anything like that changes his life and changes the way he thinks about stuff,
yeah.
right?
Well,
Maybe he's
I
never
mean,
done it.
in view of the fact of guys like Aaron Hernandez, you would think that everybody would want, you know, to take another look at some of these guys. Talent was all there, but it got wasted. It got wasted, and I'm not saying everybody's like that. I'm just telling you that there's more to it than just that. And if you don't, yeah, and Kimberly K said it well. No matter what we do in life, if we're not serving others' interests beyond our own, we've done nothing. And
That's what I'm
absolutely
saying. That's what
shit,
I'm
man.
saying, bro. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You know what I mean? Like it's coaches are the same ilk, right? Coaches are
Mhm.
the same ilk. Like especially those people. Like I got guys here in JC that don't even have kids like playing sports,
Mhm.
but they get off work 2 to 3 times a week, and on our weekends are out there coaching and taking kids to tournaments, right? Like next year is my son Cameron's last year in the junior J program, right before he goes to middle school, 6th grade, right? And I don't know, like, if I got it in me to, like, continue coaching in, like, the junior J's. You know what I mean? When I get
Yeah,
done.
yeah. Well, look at
And I
this.
think
Look
about
at
those
this.
guys, I'm like, damn, dude, they're really out here and they you know what I mean? Like, one coach brings his 2 daughters, and his 2 daughters just be on the field running around while we're practicing. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy to me. But I think about it. Yeah, there you go. There you
Yeah.
go.
Spoken like a true smart person, you know.
Yeah, that's facts,
Spoken
man.
like a true spark.
Facts.
I mean, hey, look, all I'm saying is there's no one way to do it. There's no one way to do it. But if you're going to sit there and try to tell me that it doesn't matter, none of that other shit matters except for the talent, then you're not paying attention. I mean, we can go through the list of teams that look at one thing and one thing only and see how well that goes for them. Texas A&M under Jimbo, the best recruiting class of all time, according to the rankings, number 1 recruiting class of all time, and it came apart in under 2 years. That's not, nobody in here has said we only want to coach kids with the best character. Are you insane? Stop talking, bro. Stop talking. Nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying that, bro. It's more than talent and athleticism. You have to be coached and take stern directions while being humble, or you're not going to make it. This is coming from a Division I player at Georgia who played with Champ and Boss Bailey and those guys and Kirby when he was there as a player. There's more to it than that. There's just more to it than that. I didn't say it. It won me. It won me. But I'll just say, look, and
Hey,
whatever's going on. Go ahead.
can you do a poll? Can you put a poll on this thing?
Yeah, I can.
Like, I want you to poll the people in the chat right now. Would you rather have a top 5, 247 on 3 class, rivals class, or get the guys that BV and Jim Nagy want? I'm curious as to what people are thinking.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple to me, but
And I mean, and again, those 2 lines of thinking may overlap, right? It doesn't have to be
I,
like this kid is not the guy that Oklahoma doesn't want, but he's a 5-star, so they're getting him. This kid could be a 5-star and be legit, and Oklahoma's like, yeah, we want him. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be one or the other. But I just curious is like, if it had to be, tell me which ones, because I don't know. I'm curious, man, because I tend to side with the evaluations of college coaches and professionals. You know, I mean, maybe you can consider, if you really wanted to, you can consider those guys from 247 on 3 and rivals professionals because they get paid, right? They get paid to do it, and that's one of the definitions of a professional. Not the only, but one of the definitions of a professional. But, are they stewards of their craft, right? Are they trying to make, recruiting analysis and all that stuff better? Or are they just, doing it to do it and collecting a check and not really putting any effort? You know what I mean?
look, I'll just tell you this much. The poll is in there. Make sure you guys get in there and start. Please go ahead and vote in that. Should be up there now. All right. Now, I'll just tell you this. Talking about that, look, I think that there's 2 ways that this could happen. At first, it may not. You may end up with a couple of classes that don't rank as high. But you know what? We've had that anyway, the last 2 classes as it is. The 24K class, I've named off multiple players that, well, let's just talk about the 2 freshman All-Americans. You know where I got something here for everybody to look at. 2 freshman All-Americans, Jaden Jackson and Eli Bowen. Uh-oh, we got Jay hollering at me here. Shoot me. Jay wants in. All right, it's coming. It's coming. All righty.
I got something I gotta ask Jay.
All right.
I got some real shit, and I need an answer, and he better not play with me.
Don't play. No playing. All right. Real quick. Let me see.
Come on, man. Hit them likes, people.
Yeah, get them likes up.
Get them likes. Get them likes, bro. 54 watching, 16 likes, including myself. I like that. Come on.
We ain't letting Jay on until we get more likes. Gotta get more likes. Let's see where we at on likes. 13? Are you shitting me? Come on, man.
I just said it said 16.
Okay,
17 now.
It's going up. It's
Hey,
going
let
up.
me ask you something. On the screen of this down underneath the comments right there, you got the YouTube sign, the Xbox. Is that people watching on the Xbox right there?
It's on X, Twitter.
Oh, is that Twitter?
Yeah.
Damn, I need to give them, my eyes are watering, people. That's my bad.
Welcome into the show, the superstar, Jay.
None of that. None of that. None of that.
Hey, we're official
guy.
now.
What's up, Jay?
I'm just a
time
man
now.
that's out here running my mouth real loud.
Big time.
But it's good to see y'all.
Big time.
I'm glad I was able to get on. I'm actually not traveling, so I could jump
Yeah.
on midday before I start moving around. But it's good to see y'all.
Hey, man, good to see you, brother. We got
Bro,
to talk about this last night.
Before we get started, let me see this shirt, bro. What you got going on there?
Going on now.
It's that
Oh
Boba
my
Gump.
God.
It's crossover.
Bro, I
Boba
was like,
Gump.
is that Mandalorian?
It's a Boba
with
Fett
the
and Gump.
Gump hat?
I be finding all kinds of random stuff, guys. That's what I be doing.
I like it, though. I like it.
This is awesome. Way to go. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right.
Oh, shit.
All right. Let's see where we at now. Okay. No, listen, obviously we were on with, I have the show every Wednesday or Thursday night we do with Kchris and Chris Mason from Sooners 360. And it was brought up that the looks of it is that it may be being reset. The recruiting board, as you know it, may be being reset all the way around for this recruiting class. And it doesn't look like Jim Nagy gives two shits about what On3, 247 or ESPN or Rivals think about who they're going after. They're going to get out there, scout themselves, and they're going to believe in their kind of similar to what we already think is going on with this staff anyway, that they are going to evaluate their talent and they're going to believe in themselves more and what they can do.
Right, and that's how it should be, especially with Jim Nagy coming in here. You don't bring in someone like him who has watched thousands of hours of film looking for dudes to join the Senior Bowl. So you know this is what he does all day, and the Senior Bowl has gotten better year over year over year over year since he was there. So he knows talent. He's really good at evaluating. I mean, he's got Super Bowl rings, so he's a part of those teams that were scouting players, and he's got certain players to his name from his NFL days. So you want a dude to come in here and do that. Now, granted, he's not going to go in there and overwrite what everybody's doing, but he is going to reevaluate, and he's going to approach the coaching staff and discuss and be like, okay, so what is it about this dude that you really see? Because my film says this. And it's going to be a collaboration, exactly what you want. But this also helps the coaching staff be able to step back and not have to focus as much on that film study. They can focus more so on the development on the field, which, I mean, that opens up a lot of hours for them just in general. Now, they're going to go and look for the dudes that they want. They're going to point out a particular type that makes the most sense. But Nagy can then go out there and look for that particular criteria, bring that to the coaching staff, like, hey, here's 6 dudes that I'm looking at right now. What do you want to see, and who do you think we should go after that makes the most sense for what you're doing? And it'll be a collaboration. I love that. That is probably the best part of having a guy like Jim Nagy and then bringing in Taylor Reed. Because remember, Taylor Reed was part of that, helping with some of the spring, the winter portal pickups. He was a part of a lot of that as well, working with Jake Rosenberg. So
yes,
exactly. So keep that in mind with what Nagy's doing. And when it comes to the stars and stuff, yeah, it makes sense that he would probably be like, I don't really care what they say. I'm focused on the players that are actually good. the ones at camps and based upon their actual performance, because we've seen that the rating systems miss out on a lot of players. They'll overrate a guy or they'll underrate a guy. And so they're going to go off their eyes only. And I love the fact that this staff really likes their recruits. That's why you see so many young players playing at Oklahoma over the last couple of years. I think we were one of the tops in freshmen, redshirt freshmen, and sophomore snaps in the country. Right. They like the players that they picked up. They get the transfers to fill gaps when they don't think of guys are just ready yet, or they need an additional body because someone left. But you can tell that they love their recruits because you're seeing their recruits hit the field more so than actually transfers.
Yeah, and I think that all makes sense. And look, as I said, I think that this has been going on for a while anyway, and that's why it was such a smart move for them to – and, you know, I think you hit the nail on the head. Why are you going to go get a guy that has 25 years of scouting experience in the NFL, essentially, you know, 7 of those being with the Senior Bowl? He knows what he's seeing. Why would he worry about what, you know, a 247 guy thinks, a regional guy that may or may not have ever even played football, as Bogue said? You know what I mean? We don't even know. And so not to take any shots at those guys unfairly, but the truth is we know that there's thousands and thousands of kids that are out there. Thousands of kids at thousands of schools that are playing football all the time. How many of them can say one of those scouts from one of those services showed up to my football game last weekend? Very few.
Yeah. Oh, it depends on who it is.
5-star guys, right? There's 32 5-star guys.
Right. And there's a lot of a lot of your regional guys, like, you know, shout out to my guy, Colin Kennedy. I know he goes to games. I've seen him at games before. Yeah, you know, you see some of the guys that are part, because he's actually a part of the evaluation process. He has
can I clarify something real quick before you go on? I don't want to interrupt. Like,
are you good?
I'm not dogging all these cats, right?
Right.
Because I know
none of us are. I don't want it to think that
they're putting in work, man, and they view, but there are some people that just aren't beating the feet, you know, foot to ground and getting out there and seeing dudes. So I'm not.
Right. There's no way that you can go see them all.
Yeah. But there are some guys that don't, though.
Yeah, and that's fair. That's true, and that's very, like you said, it's very fair because some don't that have a say in it, and some do that do have a say. And so you do have boots on the ground. You see them at the camps and stuff. But like you said, going to a lot of the games and being at the actual stadiums and watching them play live, you get a different feel of the game than you do watching on film. The speed of the game isn't as apparent when you're watching it on television or on a tape as it is when you're right there at the field and you're looking from the 50 or from the sidelines. You feel that speed being there. I went to the Edmond Santa Fe game a couple years ago and watched Union come in. That was when Devon Jordan was the corner for Union, and Bernie Kaiser was the edge there for Edmond Santa Fe. Me and PG was there. And the speed that they were moving, you're like, oh man, you see a difference. You feel it when you're physically there. And so, yeah, it's critical to have guys that can actually go there and do it. But then, of course, you know, with Nagy, he's done a really good job of just evaluating. He can evaluate from the tape because he's been on the field for NFL. And that's where you hit that next level of speed so he can adjust. But my point is, you know,
well,
you got to use your own eyes sometimes, too. You got to be able to see this is the trait I want.
I was bringing it up last night about, you know, you get Michael Fasusi. Everybody knows he was the number 1 tackle in the country now. I mean, but it wasn't. I mean, only one of the services had him as the number 1, I think. Right?
Yeah.
And that's one thing. But then you got Ryan Foje, same size. In fact, he might be a little bit bigger. He's ranked where? In the 400s or whatever, whenever he gets the offer? Nobody knew who the hell he was.
He was a 3-star. Foje was a 3-star.
Nobody knew who he was. Jaden Jackson. I was just bringing up the Jaden Jackson stuff. I was looking back through his rankings from the start, his history. He was like the lowest I saw him at was in the 600s, well into the 600s. He only got up to 190 according to the 247 rankings, and he's a freshman All-American. Eli Bowen, another freshman All-American on defense. He never got out of the 3-star rankings.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not in whatever measurables you want. I mean, hell, for the sake of Jaden, he's right next to the number 1 defensive tackle in the country, and nobody was giving him any love. Nobody.
That's the tough part. Yeah, it's
wild.
And you get knocked based upon Eli's biggest knock has been his height, right?
Yeah, of course.
You gotta give him that. But at the same thing, as Derek even mentioned here on the screen, the one thing you got to do keep in realize with even only a few, with such a smaller amount of pool when it comes to 5 stars, they do typically end up getting drafted higher than most players. That's always the thing to keep in consideration, especially if they're a consensus. Typically, your consensus.
What's the difference, though? What's the difference, though, Jay? Because what is the difference in a guy that just hasn't been seen at one of these camps, same size, same speed, whatever? It's just that he didn't go to the camp? Because
right, yeah, and it's typically the anomaly. I put it this way. In the conversations I've had with some folks that on the behind the scenes rating side, one thing that what gets players that bump is when you have verifiable stats, meaning that they have your measurables and they've actually seen your measurables. They've seen that you're actually 6'4", 6'5", 6'2". They've seen that you weigh in the 220, 230, 240 range. They've seen your wingspan. They've seen your 40 time. That stuff does help. And that's what hurts people that don't go to camps is you can't provide the verifiable stats, which granted, I get. Unless you physically go see them, you wouldn't know, or you have an eye that's trained to catch that and be like, okay, there's something different about that. Kind of like the Taylor Wine situation in Tennessee. If I'm correct, when we went out to Brentwood, we weren't even recruiting him initially, but we saw him on the field and was like, oh yeah, I want him. Similar to the story with Bob Stoops and DeMarco Murray. He's in Vegas for somebody else. He sees DeMarco Murray do like an underleg dunk in the gym next door, and he's like, hey, who's that dude? And then they go ahead and recruit him, and then you get one of the greatest running backs to play at Oklahoma because of it. But that happens. It happens that with some dudes just don't because they don't go to these enough camps or go to a camp and get those verifiable measurables, it does knock points off of them. And that makes sense because you want to have as much verifiable information as possible in those rating services. That way you can actually say, well, this is the reason why he got it. Now, the one thing you can't measure, though, is effort, hard work, and dedication. You can't measure that in a recruiting service, period.
Well,
that's the one thing that changes it.
Den will be on here in a few minutes, and I always go back to the story. I mean, and we could talk about the same thing with Mike here, but Isaiah Autry-Dent is a 4-star. He's got offers from Alabama and Ole Miss and Oregon and Florida State and everybody else in the country. Pretty much, he was about to get one from Georgia had he gone on that visit. Once they decided on Oklahoma, they shut down all the visits, just like Venables asked them to. What happens? They drop him to a 3-star because they're pissed off he won't come to their camps anymore. They already had made a decision. He's still got that size. Here he is. He's about to be in here with us anyway. But it's just some of it is bullshit, man. Some of it is bullshit. There's just no two ways around it. And I'm not going to sit here saying it's all the time, but it is some of the time.
Oh, no. Keep that look, bro. That was player. Keep that look, cuz. Dude. Hey. Bro, you just come from the lake, bro? What was that? You just come from the lake?
Little pond right around the crib, man. Man. Trying to catch some
Welcome in from the boat. Welcome in from the boat. Big cuz Marcus Dent.
Man, what's happening, man? What's going on with you guys?
Man, we're just chopping it up here.
It's Friday.
Yeah. The offer list matters more, Bryce W. says. Hey, you know what? It's always been the case.
Yes.
We were just talking to Michael Steven last week. Michael Steven comes on the show with us. He just now got ranked. I don't even know if it's hit most of these sites yet, but
it's just on 3.
He's got offers from Ohio State, Georgia, Florida, Florida State, Oklahoma, Arkansas, both Mississippi schools, and not even ranked.
Yeah.
Now, who do we believe? Because they haven't seen him, we're not supposed to believe what these schools think when he's gone to their camps and he's shown out?
Yeah,
there's part to it.
In their defense, though, how do you rank somebody that you haven't gone to go see?
That's true.
That's kind of where you get stuck.
But we know that Sheldon Terry actually told the high top group that he will go off of guys that he know what they're talking about. Coaches like Larry Johnson.
Right.
Okay. So if you're
We're also
if you're
early
getting-
in the 26 rankings, right? We usually don't get
any
the
way you
bigger
look
ones
at it,
until summer.
Hold
So
on,
yeah,
though, just a second, Jay. I'm just saying, if you've got that many offers, you've got 7 offers, 6 of them from SEC schools, and you're not even ranked yet. I mean, you're not buying it from any of them until you see them. Come on, man.
Well,
hey, verifiable measurables are key. That's the other
Yeah,
thing. You gotta have the
I was-
verifiable measurables.
I was just yesterday, guys, talking to a kid that had went to our Army combine, and he was like, "Coach, I win and this right here." His measurables for the part of his class, he's a 2026 kid, for him playing strong safety and free safety, that his time wasn't there. He ran a 4.8. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now his film looks good, but you can speed your film up, you can slow your film down. Film is not bad, but they're gonna go off of verified times and verified measurables. I told him, I said, look, you got to get that 4.8 to a 4.6, a low 4.6. These are things that you need to work on. So when those companies, just say Catapult that does my camp, so when that information goes out to Memphis, to Tulane, to USC, they're looking at that data that they have in front of them first. They're going to turn that film on, but if the data says you can't move from left to right, because when you put that Catapult vest on at our combine, it tell you how explosive you are, how you move from left to right, how fast you move, your reaction time, how fast you excel, how fast you decel. All that stuff goes into it. So when you go to camp and you don't have these numbers, they're gonna say, okay, I'm not dealing with that kid. Not until maybe OU offers, and then they'll say, okay, look, let me dive into it. Let me look at this film a little bit closer and see if I see anything else outside of this. Because
You
sometimes,
got the
very few
defending
times,
national champions in Georgia and Florida and
you
Oklahoma.
got sometimes kids got game speed. So perfect example, my guy Jeff that runs Catapult, Alabama had a kid that they wanted to see. They had one kid in Florida, one kid in Georgia. He wanted to put a vest on both of those defensive tackles. If one of the two they was going to offer. Guess what? When the data came back, one guy, and it shows your heart rate. When the ball went away from him, man, his heart rate was down. He wasn't even trying to get toward the ball. His explosion, his acceleration wasn't there, because, in other words, that was telling him when the ball went away from him, he didn't do anything. So, like, it's a lot of different stuff that some of these recruiting people can use to rank a kid. But an excuse for not seeing a kid, or a kid not coming, like what happened to Caleb Cunningham for getting dropped from a 5 to a 4 because he didn't play an All-Star game. Dude, come on, you done had 4 years to see this guy. He was ranked. He was a 5-star guy. That was more or less him not giving you the time of day, because I do know this.
Explosive too. Oh Lord.
Yeah, when you build a relationship with one of these writers, and then every time they call and you give them a story, that's click, man. That's likes. That's a part of their job. So guess what? That kid that kind of say, I'm done with recruiting. I'm this right here. They seem like, you know what, I'm gonna go with this guy because every time I call him, I get a story. So it's a lot of ups and downs in that industry, and I know a lot of those guys. Some of them are football guys, but the majority of them not. Definitely. But yeah, it's a different world we live in. Nick Saban.
All I've been saying is it's not a complete science. It's not.
No, it's not a complete science. Nick Saban used to rank kids by him just offering. It was called the Saban effect. A kid go to camp, no stars, nobody know about him. Alabama offer him. The next week or the next day, he was a 4-star or a 3-star. It was called the Saban effect.
You go off the coaches that have done a good job of developing. Like, Bill Beatonbow's seen some players get a bump because, he gave them an offer. Hell, Fogier was a perfect example. As soon as he started, he got the offer, and then he committed like dang near immediately. Got folks like, okay, what is Bill Beatonbow seeing in this kid? Mm-hmm. When the next thing you know, the kid's flying up because they're like, oh, wow, we didn't pay attention to him on this tape like we should have.
That's right.
And it just depends on who, like I said, the relationship and the area and who's the ones that's going to be doing the fighting and the vouching and whatnot. And I've seen that with even some players, that are outside of the Oklahoma, Texas bubble, where a lot of the Oklahoma beat guys for the recruiting services are at. When you go outside of that, those guys don't get rated as high because
Right.
they don't have anybody there to be able to fight as much for the evaluation and say, no, for this region, he is one of the best. Like, you have to show that in camp. And that's kind of where, you start to see those that commit early and don't go camping anymore. They'll see kind of a drop because other players they'll have them surpass them because of that.
Yeah, we did it.
Yep.
We went from a 4 to a 3 because we could, for a whole year, we didn't camp.
Yep.
Because we were done. We were already committed. So, I didn't see any use of wasting.
No real reason to,
money.
right?
Right. I didn't have a reason to. Like I told him at the time, man, you can't worry about the stuff like that. And they're young kids, man. They do worry about that kind of stuff. But you just have to make sure you put it in their mind. Hey, look, man, this stuff doesn't matter. You go ball out, and once you start playing on the field, it don't even matter, because if believe it or not, if you get in the portal, you get another whole ranking. If a kid get in the portal, that's something they didn't do. They'll start doing that crap now. So like a kid could be a 3-star and went somewhere and did really well and get in the portal. All of a sudden, he's a 4.
Yeah, that's true.
It's crazy, man. It's a crazy synopsis to it, though.
Listen, man, like y'all heard me tell my story, right? Mike commits to Oklahoma. All the other kids in Kansas that are going to Kansas schools jump them, right?
Mm-hmm.
After he commits to Oklahoma. But here's what I'll tell you is the beat writers from Oklahoma came up here and watched Michael more than the Kansas State beat writers, right?
Mm-hmm.
I could hey, say what you I know Parker ain't your guy or whatever, but Parker used to be up here.
I know, dude. And
Parker goes to Kansas. He hits the road. He will hit the road
heartbeat. Chops on that stuff. I was just giving people. I'm saying, who are you going to listen to? You're going to listen to Parker. You're going to listen to Jim Nagy. And that's a fair statement to make too, by the way.
You know what I mean? Drum, my guy Eddie and George.
Stop.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's, but they and that's what I'm saying. Like, these cats are right down the street.
Yeah.
The beat writers,
Sure.
right?
Well, here's the deal.
Two games they came to, but yet, come on, man.
Our situation was totally different, man. I was like, nobody from Oklahoma seen him play, besides Coach Bimbo, game wise. Nobody seen him play. So they didn't have anything but film. And me, I didn't put a whole bunch of pancakes and stuff on there because I wanted coaches to see the skill set.
Right.
And that's why I did what I did with his film. But you're absolutely right, man. These writers, sometimes they hold. The only thing that I don't like about it, guys, is when, and I really hate to say this, but I'm going to say it. When you mess with those kids, sometimes when you change that 3 to a 4, you're messing with the money. And I'm gonna tell you the reason why I say that, because anytime a school is a business, the way this thing is set up is a business. If they can keep from paying you a certain amount just because of a star ranking or something like that, and I'm not saying every school will do it, but some schools will.
Yeah,
they will. They'll say, okay, well, you run. You was a 3-star. We want, and they'll use that unless they're a school that just got to have you. Then it'd be something else. But anytime in business you can finagle a little bit of money, you're gonna do it because you always got somebody watching the budget.
Yeah.
That's my part about it.
Hey, Ryman. Hey, Jay is not the only one terrible at picking brackets.
Yeah, so is Bogue.
I predicted that the Cinderella teams wasn't going to happen this year. That was my thought process in going into this bracket, just because the NIL and shit's changed.
Come on, man.
But I did not pick any of the little upsets at all, dude. It was terrible. I had probably one of my worst brackets ever. It was terrible. Terrible. I don't understand. The thought was there, but man. Unbelievable.
Yeah, last year, of course, last year we had NIL. We had a ton of, upsets, but you also had a bunch of super seniors. And the one thing
You did.
I'm looking at, this was the first year of no true super seniors. Like Auburn is your oldest team. They've got a bunch of dudes. They've got like additional years of eligibility. But for the most part, yeah, when it came to the brackets this year, it was more so chalk. Like I was looking at it, somebody posted some statistics on it. This year, if you would have taken all dogs in the tournament, you'd be down $2,400 at $100 bets per game. If you would have taken all dogs last year, you'd be up $1,600. So, but that also follows the standard model that the tournament has been. Next year, to me, feels like we'll have a better understanding of if parity is truly starting to be implemented, if you're starting to see more parity or not, or if it's really starting to go focus more so chalk and NILs allowing all of the rich to keep getting richer. This next season will be the one that'll really tell us, because then you really have no more 2020 extra year guys, the extra years of eligibility.
It's similar
done.
to everything else. You can't throw a blanket over everything and say it's always going to be like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
you just
tough.
can't, because things evolve over time. Just like, look, I wonder, I guess getting back into what we're talking about, my question would be kind of I don't know, do you end up seeing a lot of these staffs that like what you have at Oklahoma now with the GM that's bringing in an actual scouting staff like this? Do you see that to where it's going to have more influence over On3 rivals, 247 and the like? It should, you would think.
I think it would. I think On3 rivals and all of them, I think they copycat a little bit. And what I mean by copycat a little bit, if
they don't see them on.
If they see somebody and let's just say somebody ranked a kid and they got an Alabama or Auburn or a Ole Miss or I'm just talking about my region right here. If they see that, guys, they're gonna make a profile on him and slap 3 on him. They'll slap 3 stars on him in a heartbeat just for having a couple P4 rankings. I've seen that every day. You get a P4 ranking, they're gonna slap 3 stars on you.
Yeah,
that's just an automatic deal. And they do that just to save face because some of them hadn't seen the kid. And they say, okay, we don't want to be behind everybody else. So we know if Alabama offer him, he got to be worth being a 3-star. So it's easy to make a profile, slap him until you see him. And that happens a lot.
Yeah, this JUCO stuff, Ryman, you're not wrong, because, and on top of that, that's not even going to count towards your eligibility anymore. JUCO, look at what happened with, with the ruling on.
My nephew was caught up in that, man. He turned down a couple 4-year schools that wasn't that big to go to JUCO because he's going to
competition's better.
Well, not just competition, but he's going to get that year. So he's going to play one semester.
Yeah, it's a free year.
Yeah, it's a free year. So he went in 6'2", 205. He's 6'2", 225. Now he's just been there a semester. So, so that was the difference between him getting the Vanderbilt offer that he wanted, because, they took a guy that was out of JUCO, that had played 2 years in JUCO. Now he's going to be in that situation. So you got guys now that
that's probably that's their MO now at Vandy.
MO. So why go to Arkansas State when you can come here and play a year and go to a Vandy or go to a Illinois or somewhere like that? So everybody got to have a calling card.
Yeah, sure.
And right now everybody's calling. I mean, Giovanni Gibson and the kid that went to Jackson State that's at Mizzou. You could do the same thing that they did. Yep. So every from FCS to JUCO right now, the ones who's hurting the most is the D2. I'm just being honest with you. But FCS and JUCO right now, man, they eat. They eat.
They eat.
They eat because guess what? The coach at Jackson State, he'll tell you, come play for me for 2 years. You come play for me for 2 years. You got that talent. We're going to help get you out. Because guess what? Now they got a Heisman Trophy guy that left there in 2 years. They got a first-round quarterback that's left there in 2 years. Now they got this kid that one of the top receivers in the SEC last year that left. He actually transferred to Mississippi State. I think his name was Coleman, Kevin Coleman Jr. or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And now he's at Missouri. So this kid done cashed in twice. He went and got banked from State. Now he's going to get banked from Missouri. Hey, hope we don't win a game in Missouri. But
But it's the evolution. That's the whole
Yeah.
deal. It's the evolution of college football and recruiting and everything else. Because nothing is staying the same. Nothing is staying the same. And so if you're expecting it to be like it was 5 years ago, you're way behind now. You know what I mean? If you've slept, if you've been hibernating for the last 5 years, you wouldn't even recognize college football right now.
What do you think about the Andrew Luck firing the head coach? Was they didn't say the AD fired, and they said the general manager fired him.
No,
so
he walked in and said, "Get out."
Who has the power?
Some schools are allowed giving their GM overarching power, and they're letting the ADs stepping back and letting the GM do it. Some are having the GM work hand in hand with their coach. It just kind of depends on the staffing, but it made sense for Luck to do it. I mean, if you got allegations of bullying your kids, and then you also suck. Can't be doing that, bro. If you're gonna bully, you better make sure you're at least getting some 10 wins out of it.
Oh shit, man! 3-9 2 years in a row. That's not.
Yeah, nah, bro. Nah, bullying is not gonna be tolerated, dog. They were trying to find a reason to get rid of him anyway, and that's what I felt like. That was like, this is a really good reason to. You suck, and you're a-hole to all your players.
Yeah,
and apparently not even.
And now they got a whole year to try to find a coach.
Mm-hmm.
So, so that'll happen.
Hey, as you can see on the screen there. Would you rather have a top 5 class via the recruiting services or the class that OU staff builds, a 5-star staff like they have at Oklahoma? 81% of the votes out of 36 choosing the staff, which makes sense to me because in the end, I mean, I think that we all know that I think it fit what they do already. We were talking about that last night too. This is a staff that is relied a lot on their own evaluations of these guys. You look at, hey, Coach Chavis has went and found guys that, I think as much as anybody, he's went out and found guys that nobody really knew much about. Taylor Wine's one of them that comes, to mind right away. I mean, I think even with Danny Okoye, he was getting known. The recruiting services never really bumped him up as far as they could have. But when Nick Saban makes you the MVP of his camp, there were people that knew, But when you go talk about a guy like Taylor Wine, he didn't get his offer until right before the end of the season.
He was found on accident.
Found on accident.
You're going to go look at some other players, and you're like, hey, who's that dude kicking everybody's oh, him? Hey, offer that kid. That's something. That's worth our time.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just takes going to a game and sitting there and watching players, and you can start to see somebody like, oh, he may be a difference maker. And unfortunately, there's thousands of games going on. And it's impossible for coaching staff and recruiters to be at a lot of the games. But you take that advice from some of the top teams. And so that's why when you see a player get offered from like Oklahoma, Georgia, Ohio State, Texas, Alabama, you start seeing everybody else offer them right afterwards because they're like, oh, their eyes, their hawks have found them. We need to jump in that boat just in case as well because, we can win them over.
Well, you talk about Mikael Steve. He was at Gainesville High School in Georgia, pretty big high school, and playing as a 9th grader. So at a lot of their practices, man, they got coaches that practice during the season when they can come out. And that's how, along with camping, that's how he got his offers. They came to practice. They watched him at practice. He went to Ohio State and camp, got the offer. You see what I'm saying? So, like, the coaches did that. It wasn't a ranking system because, like you said, Jason, he just got ranked, last Wednesday or something like that? But, that's something, and when you're in a big area like Georgia, that happens a lot. Texas, it happens a lot because they get a chance to, little small places, not so much, But, it's just back to what I've always beat the drum on. You gotta camp. You gotta camp. If you don't camp, your chances are slim and next to nothing to getting that offer that you really want if you don't camp. You know, film don't. You used to say film don't lie. Well, film do lie a little bit. It lies a little bit because you can speed it up. You can do this. You don't show those bad plays. And the thing about it is, guys, not until a coach get 100% serious about you before he goes and watch a whole game tape.
Hey, I'm gonna make a call for there's gonna be a new fundraising event, charity event at the Crimson Combine, and it's gonna be an unfair sports celebrity boxing match between Jay and Coop. Right? That's just there's
I'll help fund that.
Little beef in the chat right now, so we got to see it. Let me Don King this month. You know what I mean? Let's wait. Hey, that got to happen.
Boy, y'all, wow.
I got 5 on it right here from Elio, who gave us a super chat in Venmo. That's a great way to send us super chats. They don't take 40% like YT does. We'd appreciate it. Hey, thanks, Elio. Appreciate you, my guy. But hey, and the biggest thing to do to help us, though, the free way is just hit the like button, share the stream. We appreciate it a lot, man. Yeah, listen, I don't know, man. I just felt like this was we got to talking about last night, and I think there's a lot. There's levels to it all, and I think some programs get a little more love from the recruit services as it is. You talk about Larry Johnson. He's had 15 first-team All-Americans. You know what I mean? So, yeah, they're going to give him a little extra love. It makes sense.
Yeah.
But, let's see. Oh, Coop wanting in too.
Hey, I don't want to see no damn
right
Jello.
here. We get it right here.
I don't want to see no damn Jello wrestling. All right. Nobody trying to see that.
Dude, what's wrong with y'all? Who's saying this?
That's hilarious.
That is too funny, man. Too funny. No,
that doggone Coop.
Coop's a trip, man. I love it. And hey, man, we haven't had Jay in here. This is quite the honor to have Jay in here. It's been a while since he's been on the show with us, man.
Yeah, man. Glad to be on. It's like I said, it's been a bit on the travel, and I'm about to get back to it next week. But glad I was able to have a Friday I could jump in for at least 30 to an hour and hang out.
Let me get right down to it. All right. So I seen you ask Kendall Dobie who the biggest hitter was, right? And he obviously said my son.
Yeah, of course.
So last year there was we need to set the new over under on personal fouls.
Ooh, yeah.
So last year the under hit because he didn't have any. So, but the playing time tick maybe may warrant 1 or 2. So now we got to figure out.
All right, we're in the spring.
What is the number?
I'm feeling generous. I'm gonna set the over under at 3 right now because we're in spring.
Okay.
Before the first game in fall, we'll see which direction the spread should go. That number, but I'm gonna set it at 3 for right now. Everybody's gonna take the over. I already know the money's gonna flow to the over.
My number was 2.5. That was my
number.
That was my number 2.5.
Let's go with that then. 2.5. We're gonna leave it at 2.5 for the spring, and then we'll see what it looks like fall. We may adjust.
Yeah, 2.5. All right.
All right.
Write that down.
Here for
it's
here
down.
for
we got it down. 2.5 is the number.
Damn, that's like Coop. Let's hear what is the under? The over under.
I like the 2.5. I was gonna say that too. So let's go with
it's a very fair number. I like that.
And just because I just gotta say, like, whatever you need to do as a father, you need to encourage him a little bit more.
You need to handle that. Yeah, let us know where you encoured him, and that way we know where to bet. Come on, man.
He had
insider trading is fair here. It's all fair, love and war here. Over here on Hall of Fame.
In Congress, why not?
Right, insider trading is legal right here.
We can just get one of y'all to talk to y'all companies. Maybe get that as a prop. Maybe we can work with them.
Make some phone calls. We send some text messages.
Call Bet US, and we'll see if we can get them to prop it up.
Make a phone call. Let me see what I can do.
Yeah,
man, y'all wow.
Hey,
I'm gonna say 2.5.
Did I tell you the story how I seen that video? When
No.
y'all did that. I think it was PG. So my oldest, or not my oldest, my middle one was upstairs, and he comes run downstairs. He's like, Dad. He's like, Dad. I'm like, what's up, man? He's like, watch this. And I'm like, oh, what's okay. I know those guys. And like they start talking about it, and I think somebody said like I can't remember who it was, but yeah, he come running down the stairs and showed it to me. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
And I can't remember. Well, somebody had like some outrageous number, like 6 or something like that. I can't remember who it was. I have to. He's got it clipped somewhere.
You had to at least figure it was going to be more than the number that was set, though, because hell, he was hitting his own teammates in the spring game.
Yeah, the spring game hit told made everybody like, oh, we jumping this number. Let's see if we can get to the 5 if he gets in there.
So if I counted 2, right, that didn't get called. I counted 2 that didn't get called. He capped that dude in Auburn, the running back of Auburn.
That was filthy.
And then in the South Carolina game, and then the South Carolina game, he cracked back on one of them dudes on a kick return.
Yeah,
I saw that.
And that's a penalty all day, every day.
Man, you were sitting up there looking at each other. I saw that one.
Yeah.
They just missed that one.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, maybe Mike had a little, you know how like, dogs have like the 6th sense and they can sense danger. Maybe he was hitting Bauer sharp for a reason.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, like I said, I've said it before. He didn't really hit. He didn't really get him. Like he put a shoulder into him, but yeah, because he already had that one little penalty from when he hit Caleb Hicks in the flat, so he was probably a little gun shy. He didn't want to have 2, but yeah, man, he had 2 for sure that I saw.
It's listen, like when you play like that, you're going to eventually have an oops. But yeah, no, going 6, that's Vontez perfect like category right there.
Yes,
that's not you got to have several screws loose to get 6 because at some point one of those is going to cost the team.
Well, he does have the nickname Boogeyman, so
Baba Yaga.
I'm surprised. Yeah, I thought he would get 1 or 2 for sure, but yeah, didn't happen.
I'm excited, man. I'm gonna be. Are you going down this week?
Yeah, I'm going down tomorrow morning.
Okay, I'll be down next week, man. Check them out, probably somewhere around Wednesday or whatever. Check them out, man. Look at everything again, man. Like I told y'all, from what I seen, just being a sports guy, man, it's a different deal. That's a different deal, and that's all I can tell you. It is damn different.
It does, and I've seen a lot of people make comments about how the offense just seems to have a confidence and a charisma that just didn't have last year.
No, did not have that flow, man.
Going into the spring, it was kind of like everybody was like, you do something, and then everybody looks around and was like, how was that? And now it's just like
it's flowing.
Yeah,
it's flowing, man. It's flowing, and you got an offensive coordinator who is having fun with the team.
Very much.
That makes a whole lot of difference. When you got a coach that's jumping up around you, very serious about what he's doing, but you guys are having fun lighting it up against a defense that's not easy to light it up against.
Right.
And they titled the video, Marcus. You know that the university knows that that's what they're seeing. And it was easy to say football is fun, right? They're taking the play off the Remember the Titans, with old boy and his football fun style Petey. But you're seeing that, and he's you've seen that video where he's chatting it up with the ref. He's like, "That's a touchdown, right? That's a touchdown." And the refs are going back and forth. It just looks different. And when you have that from John, you also, tell me, as an offensive lineman, when you see your quarterback back there and he's riding high like like Baker used to be like, or John with this type of charisma, you've seen it from guys. And when you've got guys like that, it's easier to be excited as an offensive lineman. It's easier to get the block correct as a tight end. It's easier to run the right route and to do the right thing as a wide receiver because you're having fun. And and I think that like guys like John, guys like Baker, that's where they go. Whereas like guys like Kyler is like, you just know that you're blocking for a bad man back there, and his nature of who he is gives you a confidence. So that's why I'm excited this year, because again, it was like day one. Brent Venables is basically like running stunts and twists and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And, you know, they could have said, hey guys, let's really just play super base and let's let this offense kind of feel good about themselves. But that's not who they are. They don't know how to do that. And I promise you, one person over there is going, that son of a B is still the same son of a B. And that's Kevin Wilson. He's like, used to do this crap to Sam and used to do this crap to my offense, just throwing the kitchen sink at them, you know, week one in spring ball. And so, listen, I'm here for it, because nobody's going to give you a gentle tap, you know, week two when Michigan comes to town.
No, and the thing about what I saw is, you know, I didn't see the doubt factor. You know, there's a big doubt factor when you unsure of what you're doing. You don't see that with him. Even talking to him, man, there's not a doubt factor in the whole thing. I mean, it's just not a doubt factor when you see him throw, when you see him talking, you know, like, I mean, I saw him one time. It wasn't even, as soon as he got the ball, within a second, it was gone. And you're like, what the hell is he throwing it? Then you watch the guy run out and up, and bam, it's right there. As soon as he got the ball, he released it and threw it to the spot where the guy was going. Didn't wait to see was he gonna break open, because he read the safety. The safety was on the other hash. It was no way for him to get there. He just threw it.
Mm-hmm.
That's knowing the offense.
Well,
that's knowing that guy cannot get his ass over there. So as soon as I get it in my hand, I just put a little air up on it so he can run his out and up, and it's there on time.
And with that confidence, Jay, I think you and I have talked about this, you know, quite a bit too, is when you have that confidence, you're going to force a football team to go, all right, so we got to play a full game on both sides of the ball. Last year,
right,
it was just, hey, don't make a mistake while we are on offense. You know, this is the other team talking. Don't make a, you know, that's a good defense, but we don't have to press because their offense will never get it together. And so we just stay pat. And so it's like playing a 0-0 game all game long on offense for our opponents, because they don't have to worry about chasing down. And, you know, once you get, you know, when we had those, you know, high-flying offenses, it forced teams to get out of their plan. When your offense sucks, the team can just sit there and go, all right, this is just us just staying focused, staying true to the game. And you saw people collapse and crush, you know, like the Auburn game. But, you know, when you don't have a team who's going to do, harm to themselves like the South Carolina game, it was just going to be a runaway.
Yep. Well, what I loved, I listened to material the other day, was he was talking about, it's not like it's every time we're out there that we're scoring. This is real competition out here. They're winning some, we're winning some, you know? So, you know, I think that's high level though quarterback play when you're seeing him throw to a spot, because he knows and he understands where the open is going to be, and he knows that his receiver is going to make it there. And, you know, he's been out there coaching them. We keep hearing about that it's as big as anything. When you've got a bunch of new quarterbacks and new systems all around the SEC, it's got to count for something.
Yes.
It's got to count for something.
You're starting to hear people say it. I heard Piquel talk about it the other day.
Yeah, me and Jay were talking about this the other day. I'm not sure I love this. I'm not sure I love this part.
I know. Yeah, I'm like, man, dude,
getting gassed up, man. I don't know how I feel about us getting gassed up.
Yeah, me too, Jay. I'm with that, man. I'm like, every other day this dude is on talking about.
Yeah, and Piquel, I mean, after the way he trashed OU last year, come on, man, he got lucky that he got it right.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, he was going to get teed up if he didn't, because I think that he was, you know, talking pretty confident about that 6.5 last year. But here's what's going to happen. It's the on-3 monster. Right now, everybody's riding high. You gas up everybody. You know, I seen the one play highlight where Jackson Arnold throws a ball in the corner of the end zone. The guy catches a touchdown. I saw that the other day, and And, we saw the incomplete pass for Bauer Sharp. All of our guys are going to get gassed up as all these All-Americans going all over the place. Nick Anderson's running with the third team at LSU.
Sure.
So
Wow.
all that's going to happen. It's going to stay there. But what's going to happen is once we get into the really dry season in the summer, they're going to start dogging us again. They're going to get really after it.
Well, it ain't everybody. It ain't everybody doing it. It ain't
Honestly, I don't think they're gonna dog us. I think that people are gonna say that we suck, but they're not gonna believe that we suck, which is where my problem comes in.
Yes.
Is that we're not gonna surprise them when we go out there and actually, if we're really good, we're not gonna surprise anybody because they're gonna expect that. They're just gonna say that I don't know how good they're gonna really be. When in all actuality, they're like, nah, they're probably gonna surprise everybody. Every article they're gonna have about teams on the rise or that are surprises, we're going to be on that list, unfortunately. But they'll still downplay it. But those lists tell you the truth. It's what sucks.
Well, I've seen some other ones that are still saying 6 at best. Still, you know what I mean. So real quick, Bishop Frank, thanks for the super chat, my guy. X Factor, he says A-team panel spitting fire. As always, man. That's how we.
Hey, Coop, I need you to elaborate on that third team statement he said.
Yeah.
Hey, so I don't know if it's injury related, but I do know that when I was reading and talking to a couple of the LSU guys, they're saying like he's out there doing things, kind of like there's a couple of the guys on our team who, like a Gentry Williams who's running around out there, basically we know who you are. Like, let's leave that shoulder alone. Let's not mess with it right now. Let's wait till fall camp. So I don't know if it's that because he's out there running around and doing some stuff, but it is not. I mean, he's running at the back of the group. Now, it is March 28th, and that has a lot of time to change. And I'm not saying that Nick Anderson's terrible receiver. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that the guys that they already have there are full complement receivers. A lot of those guys know what they're doing. Whatever's in the water down there, it's there's always going to be great receivers at LSU and great receivers at Ohio State. Like those are two things that you can pretty much book every single year. That being said, we're going to see a lot of people. They don't want brands like anytime Alabama starts struggling, people are going to hop on it. Anytime Michigan or Ohio State, you saw the Florida State stuff through, probably 5 weeks last year where everybody enjoyed watching a big name brand really, really struggle. With us, I think nobody really piled on us because I think they did know about the injuries, but it was a travesty. It was watching a team that when you see when I look at Coach Dent and I see that red OU hat, immediately first thing I think is high-flying offense. Well, we got both wings clipped and and blinders put on the bird last year, and so the offense couldn't take off. But no, I fully think this is we'll see some turning and we'll see some stuff. I think that there's going to be a lot of noise around Mateer, and I really want Sooner fans to just
brace yourself,
relaxy taxi, because if you remember the Baker 15 year, Baker didn't take off. That offense wasn't prolific early in the season.
That's true.
We kind of found our way in Knoxville, and everybody all of a sudden was like, "Holy!"
Baker became Baker.
We're really good. Yeah. And, that's Sterling Sharp all of a sudden, goes crazy. And that's what's going to happen. And a lot of people are scared about our running back room, and they're thinking, is that going to do anything? Because there's not an Adrian Peterson there. There's not a, Rodney Anderson. There's not a Kennedy Brooks. There's not a big name guy that you can point towards on the running back side. And there's always the adage of if you have two quarterbacks, you got no quarterback. Well, I don't think that's the same thing in the running back room. You can have a lot of different guys, especially with the way that running backs are used nowadays.
Yes. I definitely agree with you on that, man. You look at what Ohio State did with the two running back system, man. You got two dogs like that, man. You can run the hell out of them, man. So
yeah, you can.
I definitely believe in that. And we got plenty of running backs in the room, that's for sure. It's just who's gonna stand out and be that guy,
Well, that's it's funny because watching the Caden Jones news yesterday, fans from across the country are like, "Oh, you got stuffed in a locker," and everybody around here is like, we kind of knew that this was going to happen.
This was going on for a couple of weeks from what we're hearing from a lot of folks. Chris Mason was talking about it. That he heard that it was at least 3 or 4 weeks ago that they kind of moved off of him. It started there. So, and here's I was just gonna bring that up too and pose it as a question to you guys: is do you feel like that was another, it's another show that they are valuing other places more than they are the running back room right now?
I think it's this, and this is simple. Oklahoma's not going to get in a bidding war, and Oklahoma's not going to overpay. Oklahoma has their evaluations and set their money, and that's they've been doing it.
There's some other positions that are probably more of a need at the moment, don't you think?
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, I don't know how much he got paid, but I'm pretty sure it's probably too much for a running back.
It was like $350K or $400K, something like that. But here's what I think is that's money that you can throw at a defensive end, a backup defensive end. Here's what it is, guys. This is heading towards an NFL model, and you can't afford to have 9 running backs on your roster getting paid decent dollars. Like, you just can't. You're going to need your main 2 guys that you're playing with right now, and you're going to need somebody who's coming along, and then maybe a young stud. That's kind of what you got right now. You can't. I mean, you're not going to be able to do this. Ohio State's not going to be able to have, 7 5-star receivers, on their roster anymore, because they're not going to afford them.
Yeah, you ain't be able to afford them, bro.
It's going to, once we get to the parameters around salary, we start this whole circle of what the hell is NIL. It's going to start over again, because people are still going to it's going to go back to the bagging system, to where it's like, well, yeah, we're within the salary cap, but I know that I know that
Bagman's still alive, bro. He's still alive. I live in the South. He's still alive, man. I know.
He's still the king of the South, the underground king.
He's still the king of the South. So what they can't do right here, they can get under the table. And here's the thing, that the NCAA is not even looking for the bagman anymore.
The NCAA
no reason to.
No power.
No reason to, bro.
No power.
Right. He has no reason to. I mean,
the NCAA is going to stand on a mountain and say, hey, hold on a second. And then every single team is going to go, you shut your mouth, you sit back down in the chair that we gave you. Because the NCAA, if it's not basketball or if it's not baseball, the NCAA shouldn't have much to say with college football ever again.
Well, I can tell you this: the bagman's still alive, man. He's still around these parts of the country.
Shout out to PG. Shout out to PG.
The bagman to come holler at me. I need a bag.
I need a bag too. Yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah. I'm broke. I mean, you got some schools, guys, that they have to still use the bagman because they got a company over here. Say, okay, look, I need this guy. I'm not putting my money in that NIL stuff. If I'm gonna take care of this kid, I'm gonna take care of him. And might not be all bag money. It might be something totally different, but it's still money without being outside of the whatever your collective is. That still happens. So don't think it doesn't happen. It happens all the time.
And we're working with some of these collectives, in the big boy job on some fundraising stuff. And everybody over the past couple of weeks has, basically the same thing across the country. It is, all right, we got our spring numbers fixed. We're set. We're ready to go. We've got our backups. We've got all that set. And then after that, everybody is going to shut down shop and wait for the rev share stuff to all launch. And so that's why I said it's just going to kind of do something different, because
it is.
Some universities are going to say, good, all right, so everybody's got a $20 million salary cap. We're good to go now, right? And Auburn, Alabama, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Ohio State, Miami, Oregon, all of them are going to go, yep, we're good. Nothing else is going to happen on our side. We'll abide by the $20 million. And then they're going to go, hey, BMD, we got a guy from blank, and he's defensive end. He was freshman All-American last year. We need $800,000. And they're going to go, all right. And they're going to go over here and they're going to do the bag thing. And that's how it's going to
How do you become a bag man? How can I apply?
If I tell you, I had to kill you. I know 2 or 3 of them, bro.
How do you get that job? How do you get that job?
And man, you want to, you
Like-
really want to know? I can tell
I
you.
mean,
Hey, straight.
Yeah.
I can tell you how you. I mean, bagmen are mostly made up. They're not made up of alumni. They're made up of mostly handlers. Sometimes a lot of handlers become bagmen. You know, that love a university. That's Texas A&M. I know a guy that did a lot of stuff for Texas A&M for a long time in the 7-on-7 business and camp business or whatever. And guess what? They rely on that guy to bring those kids. And then over a period of time, you build a relationship with this alumni guy. 9 times out of 10, the head coach does not know what's going on the money side. He just know I gotta have this kid, and everybody else take care of it. It's just like being a mob boss, and you sitting in there and say, "Hey, I need you to take care of so and so, and it's done."
Yeah.
I got an offer they can't refuse.
Yeah,
right?
exactly right, man.
Make sure you just gotta make sure you're the cop.
Yeah, I mean shit, man, that don't mean nothing. that don't mean nothing at all. But you know,
Never
it's
does.
huh?
Say
I
it
mean,
never does. Never means
It
anything.
never
Yeah.
does, man. But it's something that those guys just don't wake up one day and become a bad man. It's something that they grow into. They've been around the program, and a lot of times, guys, they get guys that has no contact. When I mean no contact, like they didn't graduate from that school. They're not alumni. The kids didn't go to school there. They just a big fan, and really, you can't do anything to the bag man.
It's
Yeah.
well,
You can't do
coaching,
anything
same
to
thing.
him.
Being a bag man is the same thing as starting a podcast. All you have to do is a little initiative and some connectivity of some sort. But listen, like you can become I mean, I know that we're not really asking this question, but there's so many you use the word handler, and it's different from like the NFL, because NFL, there's rules, there's regulations, there's a certain amount of
A lot of
money that
handlers out there, bro.
that agency can take. And with these bagmen and these handlers and my uncle and all that stuff, they're just making up numbers. And some people are taking 35-40% of what the kids are making. So why do you ask for more? Because they are also thinking, I'm about to get paid too. It's like we are about to get paid, and all of a sudden this kid's individual journey to college turns into we. And
I mean, that happens. I'm telling you, I've been approached several times by different people wanting to because of my program and because of the kid that's come through. But that's not who I am. You know, I give advice to parents. I can't promise you a scholarship. I'm not finna take 30 kids that I don't know to Florida, and you go to these camps. So let's just say you go to camp. I'm just using Florida as an example. You go to camp in Florida, and I'm that guy that's bringing 25 kids. Well, guess what? They can put me down as a coach and pay me 10, 15, 20 grand legally. Put me down as a coach and pay me legally, but they're really paying me because I'm bringing these 10, 15 kids with me. And it's legal as I don't know what. That happens all the time, guys.
It does.
This world that you're talking about, I've been in this world for 20 years. So I mean, it's all a game, bro. It's all a game.
It's going to stay the same. And the part that I don't like is, number one, is the just creating percentages and taking 25-30% of this money that's meant for the kid. It's the same, because it's not like this is just some random person who rolls in and is like, I would like to represent you. I've represented other people. It's typically somebody that they're close with, an AAU coach, or a summer program coach, a travel club, anything like that, an uncle. One
It's
of those
changing though, Coop. They in the inboxes now, bro.
Yeah.
They in the inboxes. They're this summer. I had 3 contact me. Just because it is what it is. They sit on Twitter and they sit on Facebook.
one game to where people can see them.
Right. That's it.
Yeah.
They played in one game, and he had the spring game, and then they look at size and whatever and say, okay, we need a kid. We need this kid here. And I just laughed it off, And big schools now, this wasn't no mid major,
Right.
Yeah.
So it's happening right now. And here's the thing: once that kid get that agent, now it's up to that kid to pay that guy. Now, what you're gonna see some kids not paid, and they're gonna start going to court. Just watch and see. That's coming. That's coming. Some of these recruiting agencies, they're not getting that money because some of these kids, some of them are smart. They're not signing anything, and they think they can just kind of, tell them anything and they'll do it. If you don't sign anything, you can tell them, "Hey, man, I'm good." What is it gonna do? Can't do anything about it.
Jason, I want to touch on the Chavez stuff because Topher brought up a good point. Because there's a lot of situations to where just because NIL and paying the player is now this is where we're heading and it's all out, it's somewhat out in the open, right? Like there's still people like this. There's still people who are going to have the private donations, right? So the rumor is Patrick Mahomes fronted all the money for Najee Kennedy to go to Texas Tech, right? So he drops $1 million and change and says.
Plus, they got a billionaire now there that just sold his oil company.
In listen, have you guys watched the Landman series on Paramount? Like those guys do deals with money that just doesn't even make sense to us.
Oh yeah, dude! If you know Midland, Texas, this is exactly how it is.
Every single situation. I mean, you saw them hanging out and, all talking about going to Texas Tech, all that oil money. Like, there's a lot of money there. But there's something, there's a lot of rumors floating around about how OU got the money for Elias Chavez. And I mean, here's the thing. Whether you want it, you like it, you agree with it or not, right now there's a lot of eyeballs on women's basketball because of the Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, battle last year. It is you can almost call it Neelio. You're going to love this if you're still on. It's almost the Sammy Sosa, Mark McGuire home run derby from 1998 is what that looked like last year. Is you fabricate a little bit of different styles playing, you got the white girl and the black girl, so you got a little bit of that too, and then you got the character and who it is and what it is, and instead of everybody just going, hey, look, we've got a couple of ballers that are bringing attention, they want controversy because controversy sells. And so guess what's going to happen? You're going to have Elias Chavez who comes in, and with you already having Beers down low as just an absolute thumper, back in the Courtney Paris days when we had the big girl down low and we had great point guards, like that's where we're trying to get back to is an OU next year is going to be a formidable force because that Chavez girl is going to walk in and hey there, buddy.
Norm
said hello, everybody.
Norman just wrecking shop. He's like, "What's going on here, guys?"
Cheers, Norm.
Did somebody say Jello wrestling?
Yeah.
But no,
I'm done with you.
There's still a lot of these private situations. Like I said, we were talking to an NIL collective, and when I asked them, I mean, this was like almost a year and a half ago, and I asked, well, what's your kind of operating budget? Like, what are you trying to get? What's your goal? And they're like, our goal's $3 million. And I was like, ha! And it was an SEC school because I was like, $3 million, my ass. Like, that's going to go to 2 players. Like, what about, I know that you guys just offered Deuce. Over at Alabama and or Auburn, and his numbers were XYZ. And I know that the quarterback that ended up going to Michigan, he got some silly numbers. And so you're going to have people who show up and go, "Hey, I'm good for like break glass in case of emergency. This immediate funding." There's a lot of people out there who are ready to do that, and if they have somebody come to them and they're saying, we've got this 5-star quarterback. He's ours right now. Do you have an extra donation? There's a lot of people who are just sitting on the burner waiting for it because they, as fans of the program, if you think that you can, you see the Michigan, they got a little taste of the big national champion, and then now you have a chance to, go pay for a 5-star quarterback who kind of looks like a can't miss, prospect. people are going to pay out. They're going to do that because they've got the money, and they'll find some creative way to write it off as an expense.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what rich folks need is expenses, right?
Yes.
Jay's like, man, I need to buy a laptop today so I can write off a business expense. And
100%.
he's like, that thing needs to be like $25,000 laptop.
At minimum.
So, no, but it's that's how. I mean, that's just how it's going to go. Going on. So, and I saw the question was, should you pay this girl more than Danny Stutzman was getting paid?
Didn't come from the same place though. It's
a different situation. I think that the revenue that if you can say Aaliyah Chavez, puts OU in a position to where women's basketball breaks even or turns a profit, it's a good investment.
Oh yeah,
starts filling up the Lloyd Noble Center. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And listen, the Lloyd Noble Center was fuller for the girls last year than it was for the guys, and that's what excitement does. Is you saw fears early in the year, but we've all seen during the Porter Moser timeline, we look really good during the non-con, and then we get to conference play, and it just goes straight down. And so that's why the excitement around the men's program is going to still stay shelved. Hopefully, he gets 5 brand new players and can run it back and threaten the tournament again this next year.
Yeah, he won a few games in the end down there, man, to kind of keep his job. So, it kind of helped him. But
and one thing I'll say about the Porter Moser thing, you got to remember they were one of the last in NIL teams in the SEC, and still made the tournament. So, they don't have a bunch of NIL going there either. And remember, Jordan Brand did cough up most of that money for that. That was them stepping up and for one of their schools, knowing that it is a big deal for women's basketball to have the number 1 player.
Well, she's one of the top ones in the country, so yeah, she's considered like the next one. But also, don't forget, Oklahoma's ties not only with Jordan Brand extends even further. Like Blake Griffin is also a Jordan Brand player. Trae Young is a Jordan Brand player.
Yes,
remember Russell Westbrook when he was with the Thunder. Jordan Brand. MJ came to Oklahoma to speak on behalf of Russell Westbrook being inducted into Oklahoma's Hall of Fame. So there's a connection for Oklahoma and his airness, and he's taking advantage of that. I mean, Aaliyah Chavez is supposed to be that next one. So see it.
And you know what? And you can even circle it back because it was an anniversary yesterday of when Buddy just lit up Oregon. And do you know who was in the crowd to watch him do that? His idol, Kobe Bryant. And Kobe loved Buddy Hield, and Kobe had a lot to do with that agreement between Nike, Jordan Brand, and Oklahoma too. Just the eyeballs that guys get. And so what does Jordan Brand think with Aaliyah Chavez is she comes through here, she's here for 4 years, she's the next focal point around, she's one of the next focal points around women's college basketball, and then she goes to the WNBA. And if it's still running and still continuing, I mean, they see this as a situation where like you pay a little bit now, you help her get to Oklahoma, it's in your brand, you've basically given her runway, and you're going to continue to go from that point, and it's going to make them money in the end because there's going to be a lot of girls. And I also say this is I also think that with her background, the Hispanic name there too. How many girls across the country are going to go out and buy her shoe? How many up and coming basketball girls are going to go out and do that? Because my daughter wants to play softball now instead of soccer because of why? Because Jada Coleman, because Alyssa Brito. Because of Kinsey Hansen, like she's now going out and buying softball gear. And so Nike, they see these things because you get excited, you're following it as a father, and you got a little girl, you got a little boy who latches on. Now all of a sudden you're a customer. And I'm probably going to go buy the Aaliyah Chavez shoe for my kid if she wants to go play basketball versus just some random pair at, Dick's Sporting Goods.
Making that money, man. Definitely gonna make the school money. That's for sure.
It's all about the dollar.
It's all about the dollar. Almighty dollar is all about.
No, bro. Let's be honest, bro. She's cold.
Oh, she cold now. Yeah, ain't no doubt
Girl
about
can
that.
straight up
I'm not saying that, bro. She is what the doctor ordered. I can tell you that, bro.
She's got handles. I mean, that's the thing is when you're a Diana Taurasi type player and you've just got handles, like you're going to spin people around and you're so quick. And then what happened? Steph Curry is, also made a huge impression in the WNBA too, because you got so many more shooters and it's turned into more of a shooting league too. Like I said, with Reagan Beers down low and then her running the point, like this team's going to be fun to watch next year.
Oh yeah.
And I think people will actually look and find out where the women are playing on what channel and how to watch it. And I can say this is if I went back 10 years ago and I said, a lot of the OU fan base is going to be clamoring for softball tickets and signing up for Flow Sports, people would have laughed in my face and said that's not going to happen. And that was when they were still good 10 years ago. But just how it's taken off has been amazing.
Well, man, I mean, if you look at OU just all together, all the sports, I think we're doing everything that we can to get at the top of our conference and be one of the top brands in the country. I think that's something, getting her Chavez, I think that's just another step that, that the school that has taken to say, hey, look, we want to be one of the top in every sport. Boys basketball has a ways to go. But they can't get there though, they can get there.
I mean, I agree. I think that somebody's going to have to, I don't know if it's going to be a Jordan Brand stepping in. I don't know if it's going to be a Buddy or a Trey, hopping in here, but this team lost out on being something better because we didn't have the coin to go for a big man. Yeah. So you had these makeshift guys like Luke Northweather playing, down low, and that's not their game. That's not who they are. And when you do that, especially in basketball, when it's, you're 20% of, the players on the floor, if you're out of position and doing something you're not used to doing, it's going to affect the rest of the game that you're really good at. So we saw Luke Northweather, once he had to come in and actually be a big guy down low, he struggled with his shot, and he wasn't able to find a flow and find a place for himself on offense because he was, getting beat up down low. And I think if we can come in and, you got some good pieces that are potentially going to be able to come back. Again, I think Moore and I think Fears are going to be gone, but I think Delton Forsythe is a great piece to kind of work with. Oklahoma guy. You get him a big guy down low who is either a stretch guy or somebody who actually has some size and can move around and stretch the floor, Tad. That's the number one thing this team's going to need. Get a point guard, get a wing who has some, worth, and get a big man. And then the other two players fill in around them. Hell, bring Sam Presti in and ask him to start taking a look at stuff. I don't care. Like, whatever you need to do to get some guys on the floor. And you're going to have to pay, and it's going to have to be a money play because these guys are going to go somewhere else and get paid. They don't know if they're going to the NBA. Right. It's you got lottery guys at the beginning of the season. A lot doesn't change from the beginning of the season to the end of the season most of the years. You may have one guy kind of pop up and become something, but you're not going to have 8, 10, 12 guys all of a sudden that nobody knew about become something great. I mean, in basketball, if you're coming great out of high school and you have a good freshman year, you're pretty much gone. And so can you get some guys that are guys who are just really, really good quality college basketball players? And I think that's enough basketball talk for the day.
Hey, and the one thing, I'll just repeat what I just put in the chat, though. The men's team isn't as far away as you think. They were one game out of the tournament for the last 2 years. They got in this year. If it isn't just about, no matter what you say, they spent less money than everybody else in the NIL. I don't know where you're getting that information from, Ace Trey. I don't really care. The other part is you have to have real fan support. There's more to it than just going out there and expecting some guy, to have a silver tongue and be able to talk them into it. If you can't go out there and fill that stadium up and show that you support them and other places did, it's tough to win those guys, man. And you can say that, well, when you win, we'll be there. No, that's not it. It can't be. It has to be real. And you know what I mean? There's a lot of fair weather fans around this this fan base. We all know that. So, you know, the bottom line is it takes more than just NIL money. It takes more than all of it. But I think just getting to the tournament itself, and you took the back-to-back defending champs down to the wire, that should help you at least a little bit. Being in the SEC, it helps you. You know what I mean? So I believe that, you know, there's a chance that they can get better. And look, a lot of people were saying you still needed to get rid of Porter. I don't know about that. I don't think that you did. But in the end, I think that there's more to it than just, you know, hey, you got to go out there and win. You know, it's a whole new world, just like it is in college football. And, you know, it's not just going to happen just because you say, hey, snap my fingers together, get it done.
Yeah. And
if it was that easy, nobody would give a shit about it.
I'll tell you what, man, I'm super excited to see what's going on, man. Back to the football side, you know.
Yeah. No, and I mean, I was saying if it was that, like with football, if it was that easy to win a natty, nobody would care.
Right.
Now,
I mean, go ahead, Coop.
I was gonna say, you know me, I like at the beginning of the year, last year, this year, I said I don't believe in the mercenary teams. I don't believe in teams like, you know, Ole Miss or Ohio State. Well, now Ohio State went out and won it. I still say this is I still don't believe in the mercenary going out and just and filling your roster. I don't.
There's a balance to all of it, brother. There's a balance.
I kind of went back and looked, and I don't think that Ohio State was as mercenary as.
No, they had some dudes already, man.
They had a good team.
Yeah.
They had some dudes already
at safety.
I would say that the Chip Kelly effect was as big of a part of that as any of it.
There you go. Yes. It was. And Will Howard, he didn't make the crushing mistake. He had games to where you knew that he was kind of the only thing that was holding him back, but like he didn't make that crushing mistake, and that was the Will Howard situation. Well,
he made the big throw in the big game too.
And guess what? When you're throwing to the receivers that he's throwing to, you're going to. Jeremiah Smith's different. He's just different. Just an absolute, just different player, and he's a cheat code because he occupies two people minimum every snap that he's on. And when you've got guys like, you know, Emeka Egbuka, you know, who is probably going to go in the first or second round, you know, most likely the second round. I mean, that's just easy. Is you get a guy who's got some experience and just tell him, don't ruin it for us. You know, just make the play that's there for you to make. And then if you need a scramble, get out there, go. And so I think that's where we're kind of at this year is we did supplement some pieces. Now, we didn't go out and spend $3 million on the Branch brothers. We went out and spent some money on Javonte Gibson. And when you guys watch Javonte Gibson, could you tell me, oh, that cat came from Arkansas Pine Bluff? Is that what he looks like as a transfer from Arkansas? No, he looks like a damn quality athlete who looks like he's about to play a little game in the SEC.
Some numbers of the quarterback that couldn't throw it.
Hey, look, bro. I done beat that horse. But, Mike, let me ask you this right here. And I know I have conversation with Isaiah. The conversation with Lil Mike, what is his take and the difference in the offense from last year and this year?
He's actually been really impressed with both quarterbacks. He tells me like he's a different vibe. You know, he said he told me, and I heard Robert Spears Jennings say it the other day, but he said Mateer's really good with his eyes, right? Like looking you off and you know, trying to set you up. She's like, so you gotta be in on your keys and know your spots and get to your spots and don't let him manipulate you with his eyes.
Man, that's good. Hey, we say back in the day, shit,
advanced quarterback.
Yeah. But I mean, he's. I think he likes it. I think there's definitely a different vibe. You know, I think at this point, last year the defense was kind of whooping up on them a little bit. Well, we saw some success in the spring game from the offense, but yeah, I mean, it's I don't know, man. Like I hear that's about all he's really told me. I'll have more. I'll get my my vibes get my vibes tomorrow, man, and I'll let y'all know. But yeah, I'm about to dip out though, man. I got some trees to put in the ground. I was probably on here a little bit an hour longer than I wanted to be. You know, we had all these high speeds come in here. You know, Jay and Eric and Coach Den. So
Man, yeah, we had
oh,
Hey,
man.
there you go, that bull.
got graced with their presence, man.
Yeah,
Shit.
man, I had to stay a little bit longer.
Well,
Yeah.
I appreciate you staying longer. If you want to go be an arborist and plant some
Yeah,
trees,
man.
you know, I support you supporting our world.
Yep. No, I got some work to do, man. I've been landscaping the shit out of my yard. So
That's what retirement look like, bro.
Yeah.
It's we've got this weird thing happening outside right now. It's there's like clouds in the sky and water's falling, and I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna hit Google and find out what it's called.
We had that last night. We had that same phenomenon last night, and it got real bright, and then there was like loud noises. It was crazy.
Loud noises.
I'm pretty sure it was 4 in the heavens, right? No, I mean just you know, not to get old man and talk about the weather here since we're talking about retirement, but it's we went to soccer practice and they got this little like tent that they set up and they got these stakes. And man, like it's the psycho stake that you look at it and it's like, man, somebody's killed somebody with that thing before. But like you couldn't get the damn stake in the ground because it was just cement. It was just all this clay here in Oklahoma is just hard as rock. So we need it.
Yeah, we got that.
Yep.
Certain parts of Mississippi they call it blue clay. It's like rock.
It's
hard.
It's just you know, again, I love it how we always bitch about the weather and hearing about a month we'll be like, I just need it to quit raining. You know, I don't think I've been dry in a month, but you know, it's going to happen. But hey, Mike, I'm glad that you're on here. You know,
always good to have
guys.
Big Boganowski. He's the Bahama Bogue.
Bahama Mama.
All up there. Pig carrying Bahama Bogue.
Jay, this guy, my new nickname is the Claritin D pill popper.
Man,
hey, bro,
he's on the most wanted list at Walgreens.
Dude, they tell me I come in there every day like you can't get them yet. I'm like, this is bullshit. I'm like, you gotta wait.
You on that meth, man? They think you on that. You on that meth, bro.
Listen, I asked a simple question like, how long do I have to wait between purchases of Claritin D? Right? You know what I mean? And they can't tell me.
30 days.
That's
I think it is 30 days.
Yeah, my wife was in pharmacy for a long time, and
30. That's dude.
Just get your wife to go in there and buy one.
Shit, my mom, my wife getting them. Like I'm out here. I'm out here giving money to little kids. Like, hey kid, go back there and give me some 24-hour Claritin D, name brand, not the generic.
No, bro, you can go generic. It's the same stuff.
Same stuff, man.
It's the same stuff.
All right, man.
Even though
all right, bro.
Stuff behind the counter, just make sure you don't want the stuff outside.
I already had that experience. That shit don't work.
That's old rub the dirt situation.
Yeah, that shit don't work.
Hey, Neilio said to make sure that you add your cubby hat to the compost pile while you're out there. Just passing along.
I'll refrain from responding to that because there's an obscene amount of vulgarities.
Get you one of these, bro.
Got one right here. Right here, bro.
There you go.
Hey, never fail, baby. This a winner right here, bro.
Yeah. Got one.
I gotta do some work myself, man. I'm going back to that pond around about 2:30 though.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Man.
Yeah.
We're going fishing.
Hey, look.
All right, bro.
Retired, you can do that, bro.
Appreciate it. All right, later.
All right, man.
Big Mike Boganowski.
Hey,
the Bahama Bogue.
Did Jay pull a coop and just like bounce without saying anything?
He pulled a J.
Nah, he said it in the
pulled a J
comment.
and bounced it out.
Okay.
He did say something in the he did say something in the chat though, and we talked on text. So I appreciate Jay coming in. Hey, shout out to Jay. It's the first time we've had him on the show in a while, man. He was gracious with his presence, man. I feel special today. Sometimes
Jason,
your boy comes up with a decent subject line, and then it just brings out good people. And Coop.
And then I come on sometimes too. No, but yeah, Jay and I mean, I think we've done one show in March, maybe two. You know, between his travel and in my stuff too, you know, kind of the same thing. It's just, you know, it's this is the time that we do it. It's you know, we were talking with. I'll say this, guys. It's not just people who are on here, and we said it on our show, and Jason, I may have said it when I joined you the other day, but like, if you are a person who still is listening to all this stuff about Oklahoma, and you're like, I mean, I'm just gonna have to see it on the field. You're not wrong, but there is differences. And last year, you know, like the injuries, everybody was like going off, and you know, the injuries were majority on one side of the ball, and that's never happened before. If we had year after year after year of this stuff, yeah, I feel you, but like, I don't see that kind of stuff, and we've been saying it, like, you literally were that much better on offense last year, and you win 2 more games. So what if you're,
so at minimum, that's why I said there was 4 games that you easily could have won. If you win 2 of them, you got 8 wins, and it's a whole different conversation.
And it's a blessing. I'm taking last year as an absolute
me too, man.
blessing.
We've talked about that.
And yeah, because
could still have Seth Luttrell.
Yeah, you don't know what the issues were. Like, you know that Seth was an issue. You know just the fit and just how he talked with everybody and just how everybody got together. You know what? Let's not even bash Seth. You got a bunch of stuff together.
I'm bashing Seth.
And well, I'm going to back it off on the bashing for a second. It just didn't fit. And last year, I think the injuries are probably the saving grace, because you could have gone through with crappy offense, you know, issues on the offensive line, issues on the receiver, and just one of those situations, and we could have been you know, less successful than we're used to, but we'd have pretty been, you know, a successful team. Maybe we'd have got left out of the playoffs, and everybody would have been pissed.
You wouldn't have a John Mateer, and you wouldn't have an Auburn. Right, you have a John Mateer here if that had happened. You still had JA here.
Maybe, you know,
so yeah, you still would have had him here. I just it still would have been a battle between him and Mike, but you know, you still would have had him. If we had won 8 games last year, he'll still be here.
And
Norman trying to eat the woodshed, damn it.
But you know, that's one thing, guys, that you know, you have to be kind of, you know, thankful, to be honest with you, because
no doubt.
It was really a blessing in disguise. Did we go through some growing pains? I think that was more of a growing pain, and then you had what all happens with the NIL, and you had, I mean, it was just it is a different era. And I talked about it on my show, man. A coach, you can't give him 3 years anymore. You got to give him 4 and a possible, because number one, you can't lose him, because if you get rid of him in 3 years, unless he's going 2-6 now.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 and 8 or something like that.
Right?
Yeah.
There's levels to all of it.
Right, but it doesn't matter if you lose the team, because you don't have a team anyway. But if you're 6-6 and you know you lose that coach, you're gonna lose half your team.
Schedule in the country, and
you're gonna lose half the team. Then you got to pay him. Then you got to turn around and pay guys, and pay the guy to stay even more. So I mean, it's become a financial woe if you get rid of a guy that's that close. I mean, you're looking at it with Napier. They couldn't get rid of him. He was too close to have to turn around and revamp the whole thing. Because at 6-6 or whatever they were the year before, you was going to lose him, had to pay him out. You was going to lose most of your coaches, and you was going to lose your key players, because the portal was going to eat them up.
Well, and we talked about this before. We knew coming into last season that the difference, and I mean, you see it more more people are paying attention to it and are talking about it, but the difference in Oklahoma and Texas's schedule
Night
alone
and day.
was
Night and day.
you knew you were going to have to go through some growing pains that they don't know nothing about. They
And
won't.
They will in
And
2027.
you have to
Yeah,
know
that's
something about that though in order to grow as a football team. You was still a young football team this past season. It was young, and it got younger because of all the injuries. But if you don't go through that season that you went through last year, are you mentally tough this year coming up? I don't know. I think that you have to go through some of those things. And I think I heard Kendall Dobie talking to Kip Lewis, and he said that, look, we pulled together as a team, and it made us love each other more. It got us closer together.
Mm-hmm.
it's that's where I think that you look at last year, and maybe we end up with the OC out of Tulane, who seems to potentially maybe be the worst job interviewer of all time because he was in for all these massive jobs and doesn't get picked up by anybody. But maybe you end up with somebody different. Maybe it just looks completely different. It's you can't do the revisionist history, but at the same time, like you hear things about Jackson and Brennan Thompson kind of working together, and it was at that South Carolina game. It's supposed to be a quarterback draw.
Yeah, and
They
him still
talked about what
shutting it
they
down or
see. He
bitching
bombed
about
it.
it.
Yeah, and then talked to Brennan's mom the other day. He's doing good out at Mississippi State. He's
saw that.
feeling good. He's happy. So that's cool. I've been trying to kind of touch base with several of the transfer guys, and so I'm hoping that Brennan has himself a good year and can stay healthy. And
Well, shout out to Jeff Lebby. I hope he has a good year too. He's
yeah,
he's an
listen,
OU guy, man. You gotta love on
it
him.
it doesn't hurt the program that Jeff Lebby goes out and looks good. I think Jeff Lebby is going to be held back by his last name, throughout his whole career. I think that's going to provide hurdles for him, that fair or unfair. But I don't want to see him fail. And here's the thing: is that Mississippi State traditionally in the SEC? Marcus, tell me if I'm wrong here. Mississippi State's kind of the Kansas State. I would say more on the always playing the spoiler and less of the ever like front of the conference, potentially, one of the better teams in the conference. But if Mississippi State is a 6 to 8 win team, they're going to be a bump in the sidewalk for somebody. And Texas plays them, so I'd like for them to, tip over on the sidewalk. But
Texas didn't put them away until late in the game last year.
Well, here's the thing with Mississippi State. Mississippi State considers 8 to 9 wins. Man, they're hating the statue. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I mean, you had the year that Dak Prescott was there. Well, the year that Dak Prescott got him to number 1, that was an incredible season altogether. You had Mississippi State number 1, and I think Ole Miss was number 3. Those were the times when State was doing what they need to do, and we talked about that. There was a lot of bad stuff going on there, and the NIL game. Yeah, the NIL hurt them because they were used to doing things the old-fashioned way and getting guys. Both schools. I'm not gonna sit up here and I'm not just talking. It's facts. You can go look
Alabama
on YouTube.
I would tell you that Alabama was hurt more by the NIL than
it was hurt. Alabama got in trouble back when they had the Means kid from Memphis. Well, the coach who took the money and ended up, he didn't do any time or anything like that, but he took all the blame for everything, was my former teammate. So I know exactly what was going on. They gave him $200,000 to take care of this boy's mom, who had 6 kids. So really, the $200,000, I mean, that had to go a long way, guys. And that was all they was.
You're right, and I'm just looking back here, Marcus. Like, that's the 2014 year. They go 10-3. Can you tell me how many 10-win seasons Mississippi State has in their history?
Oh, probably maybe 3 at the most.
3 exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And you
so
got
that's
and one in 99, one in 14, and then the other one came back in the ripe early year of 1940.
yes.
So
Oh, yeah.
I just say this.
I
Yeah,
don't count
Mississippi State.
anything before integration.
Marcus
I don't
was
even
playing.
count it.
Marcus was playing back then.
Hey, man, look, I'm gonna tell you, they have always been that team. Back they would, talk about Dan Mullen, but he has some defensive players too. Fletcher Cox, doggone,
Yeah.
they had a
Dan Mullen
bunch.
is one of the few
Hey,
coaches in SEC history to win 100 games as a head coach, folks. And
yeah,
most
I
of
mean,
those came at Mississippi State.
yeah, you had Jones to play with the Chiefs, and he had some dogs, man.
Mhm.
And
But
as a
here's the thing: those guys, getting those guys like they used to get them the old fashioned way, you just can't get those guys like that. So you're going to see Mississippi State do a lot better when they go to revenue share. That's when they're going to really get back to being that spoiler team you really just don't want to go to. Now on the road, but playing when they get good and playing in Starkville with them damn cowbells can
the
be hell.
cowbells and
It
guess
can be
what?
hell. Now I'm telling you.
It's the same area because I had the privilege to go when K-State went down and played. Let's see here, they played in Manhattan the first year, right? And then where was it at Starkville the first year? But they had that little 2-year series where K-State and Mississippi State played, and the difference in K-State and Mississippi State is essentially the athletes are at a different level down in Mississippi than they are coming over to Manhattan. Is instead of a defensive tackle being 270 with the capability to maybe get up to 290 and being just country strong.
Yeah, something like Jeffrey Simmons.
He comes in at 310, in Mississippi, and you just try to make sure that he doesn't get north of 330 and doesn't, continues to do the strength. And they're going to have athletes in Starkville. They've just always, when their defense has been solid, the offense struggled. Or when they had the offense all of a sudden, now they lost all their playmakers on defense, and they can't seem to find a complementary football. But they're right there every single year as a team that you don't look at them and go, that's an easy win, because it's just the SEC. You're not going to get a team like that.
Well, the Pirate, what 9-3 his last year, something close to that.
Let me see here.
And then Arnett came in and just
9-4. Yeah,
9-4. Yeah,
9-4. Yep.
He didn't coach the bowl game. I don't think. I think he was sick or something like that.
No, that's when he passed away.
That's when he passed away. Okay.
Yeah, they won the ReliaQuest Bowl.
Okay, they did. Yeah.
Yep.
And see, that's what I'm saying, man. 9 wins, and they're a dangerous team. They could beat a LSU. They could beat anybody when they have that kind of talent. Now, do they have the stability to do what they need to do in the playoffs or whatever, or to make it? They just don't have that kind of staying power. But they do have the type of kids that will be your first round draft picks. You can see that in the NFL.
They got him
right
a quarterback, man. They got him a quarterback or a couple of quarterbacks, right?
Got a really good quarterback. To be honest with you, if that kid hadn't left,
Levy Levy's gonna get that. He had it the last year he was in Oklahoma. They were a top 5 scoring and total offense.
Now I believe this year, and I think Lev just didn't want to do it because of 1 year. But this year, if the defense doesn't show a mass improvement, that guy be gone because they wanted him gone last year. Lev just wouldn't do it.
This is his first time with a DC, first time being a DC at all, and it's at the SEC level. I don't know that was a great move on his part.
Yeah, because they actually brung in a couple guys to help him, but I think that's another departure you could see. Same way with the offensive line, man. Kennedy lost some big time recruits. Lost the kid that they had committed, Mario Nash, another kid that played for me when he was a little youngster. They lost him to Florida State, and Lev was like, "Nah, man, we can't lose kids." And he went and got Big Phil.
Hey, that's big too.
And
That
Big
was
Phil Phil is working. I'm telling y'all,
that was
he is gonna be the next Phil working, bro. He's working. So he's doing some good stuff, man. But it's one thing. State is not in a rush. They giving him time. They're not in a rush. It's not if you don't win next year, you're on the hot seat. That's not the case there.
Well, it's and that's that type of program. Is it's still the SEC, and they're still going to say, all right, we need to see something, right? You can't just be here. But at the same time, I mean, yeah, it's you have. It's not like Oklahoma. It's not
Yeah.
like Miami or Florida. You're going to have to come in and you're going to have to start showing some results at a school like here. In Mississippi State, they want to see. I mean, listen, that pushing those 8, 9, 10 wins, if you can get to that's where these programs want is, can we get somewhere to where it's 8 wins, 9 wins, couple years in a row, so we can get our footing and reset the ground zero.
Yeah.
Because I think that what happens in the SEC just across the board is nobody has that long-term outlook, and the fear of plummeting makes people make decisions too soon.
Well,
Yeah,
if Mississippi would do what Oklahoma did and make some of this money where these guys giving money can write it off, that'll help a whole lot too. So
I bet
it's
it's
kind of
coming.
like, yeah, it's coming. It probably is. Ole Miss gonna push that issue, bro. I can tell you many lawyers they got. That's probably in the works, but it's just a couple things that got to happen for Mississippi State to be back to where they were. Defensively, they got to get better. Hell, they scored 30 points on Georgia or something close to that. He scored. To be honest with you, the 4 games before the quarterback got hurt, go look at, he had like 900 yards already. And so Leb, Leb can score points. He might not sometime at the right time. He might not make the call, as some people would say, but the Joker has a mind, and you can say what you want to say. He got his dad-in-law right there beside him, man. They don't care about all that stuff down at Mississippi State. Browse is right there helping him, bro. So guess what? All
and
that stuff up here, though.
He's far away from it, and I think
Yeah.
the trial stuff at Baylor and how it affected OU, that is different. It didn't have.
Oh, they don't care. They don't care nothing about that.
People have never heard anything that now. Now, listen. I think that if somebody says, "Oh, well, what happened?" and because right now they can say, "Well,
there were a few people that brought it up. There were a few people that brought
but
it didn't.
But the money people don't care nothing about that. They're not worried about that.
Well,
if they were worried about that, they never would have hired.
I covered that directly. I covered that trial, or not the trial, but the whole thing that as it got started. I can tell you that they put all that shit off on Art Briles, but why did they have to pay him $15 million later on? I can tell you why. Because a lot of that shit was going on long before Briles and them got there.
I can believe that.
Oh, I promise it was.
Listen. What do they say about the donors at Texas? They want to run the program and they want to do whatever they want to do. A&M's the same way. Texas Tech's joined in the conversation. Baylor, it's the same situation in Texas. They want to do whatever they want to do, and when you got that much money, that's all that matters. That's all that matters for.
And I'm not saying that they did everything right either, as far as Briles and Leb and all them. I mean, I'm not saying they didn't make mistakes too. I'm just telling you that there's more to it than what you think you know.
Yes, there is. There's hush money.
And like I said, man, in Mississippi State, they don't. I think it came up maybe one time in something that I heard, and it was brushed so far up under the table, man. It was, so. But he does, he's there helping him, man. So, he got a great offensive mind. They put the defense part of it together and able to keep some of the guys in state, because you look at it. Ole Miss get right now, they're getting the cream of the crop when it comes to the guys in Mississippi. They're doing that. But if you don't make the playoffs in the next 2 years, that's going to switch back. Because here's the deal. Donors are not going to give money, and I'm giving you all this money, you're not making the playoffs. That money is going to start it's gonna start like, we can't give $2 million this year. We're gonna give you 900,000, and
Yeah,
that's what's
that's
gonna
exactly.
happen. And
That's
see, the thing
exactly
about it is, you can't be top heavy at these schools. Like a place like Ole Miss, they top heavy. And what I mean by that, you got, and I'm just calling out numbers. There's nothing factual, but you got a linebacker making 300,000, and you got this other linebacker making 50,000. You can't have that. They need to be making 175 a piece or something like that. But when you top heavy like that, your locker room is not going to be the same, guys. I don't care, because you sit up here and these kids signed confidential. These kids know they know exactly what what the next kid is making.
Yeah, they make
They
the
know that.
conversations. They make the
Yeah, they have the
conversations.
conversation.
And guess, and like you were saying about being top heavy, what happens is you're going to run into this. You're going to have those top guys who are making all the coin, and the winning doesn't happen. Well, then all that money that you just paid all those top guys, you're going to watch them leave in the transfer portal and go somewhere else and get new paychecks. And
Yes.
now you've got to fork out more money, and it's all a waste. I mean, it's just an
Well,
absolute
cool.
waste.
I'm here, and my business partner is an Ole Miss guy. He's an Ole Miss writer, and I hear the Ole Miss stuff all the time. Trust me. But here's the thing. I told him and some more. Y'all went full house last year and didn't make it. You went full house last year
Mhm.
and didn't make it. I said that transfer portal class that y'all got. I don't care if y'all got the number one class this year or the top 5. That class with Walter Nolan and all those, you're not going to get those kind of classes anymore. With Trey and all Trey Harris, that's gone, because people are going to take care of their best players. When those guys left A&M, and now Trey Harris came from La Tech, so they couldn't afford to keep him. But when Walter Nolan left from A&M, they could have kept Walter Nolan if they had known what was going on at the time. So hey, maybe you have a couple more good portals, but man, you're gonna see those FCS kids that are doing really good, like we talked about on the show. You're gonna see those kids start migrating into FBS. 349 kids that play FCS ball will be playing FBS in the 2025. Another 330 JUCO players is moving up to FBS. Dude, that's almost 700 kids out of from FCS to JUCO. That's a lot of freaking kids, man.
And you know what I think is going to start happening at some point soon is you're going to see one of these smaller programs is going to take an absolute massive risk, because I think that the smaller programs are in massive jeopardy. And I'm talking about like University of Tulsa. I'm talking about, schools that are that size, a Tulane or a Toledo, stuff like that. I think what's going to happen, one of these teams is going to go, "Hey, we're going to find a partner, and we're going to become a farm team. And we're going to say, we're going to somehow use that in our speaking." And so follow me in this train of thought is, if the only chance for you to stay as a program and a relevant program and create some, buzz for your program would be for and I'm just throwing this out. Say Toledo comes in and says, "Hey, Ohio State, I know that anytime we get a player that is a baller, like, they're going to leave. We'd like to, just be able to say that, like, hey, listen, if you come here, we're going to get you ramped up." And I think that the head coach at Washington State kind of jokingly said it right before he bounced over to the East Coast. But he was like, we know, come to our program, and we're going to coach you up, and you're going to be able to move up to a bigger program. That's
Yes.
what Coach said after Mateer and Arbuckle left. I think that one of these teams are going to do that. Their tagline is going to be, come to Toledo.
A lot of them already doing
You're
it.
direct pipeline to Ohio State. So maybe you're not getting the love from the P4, and maybe you need to follow in there. And you come in here, and that is you're almost trying out for the Ohio State football team. Now, it's a win-win for, I think, for Toledo, because a lot of kids are going to go, well, I do want to go to Ohio State or a bigger deal, and I'm going to have to, earn my way up. And I think we might end up seeing something, around that sometime soon.
Yep.
It would be a bold move. Like I said, when the Washington State coach, when he said that out loud, well, what happened 3 days later? He's taking a new job across the country. And, so he talked
Is
a
it a
little
better
smack.
job? Probably,
But
really,
Jason, tell me, if you're Tulsa, would you not say like, hey, listen, we're piping people straight to Oklahoma State. So if you're not getting P4, come here, we'll coach you up. Now you got to be able to have some proof of concept, but
Sure.
we're going to start seeing these things because that's the only way that
They
these
do
teams
have a
are
little
gonna
proof
stay
of concept.
relevant.
They've had guys that they've pulled out of Tulsa.
Yeah. They have, but I'm just saying you're going to have some more winning and some more patterns of it because it's been a little while since they've sent guys out. Like I think they had a really good defense. Was it 2 or 3 years ago? And their top 3 defenders all left, and that's the last time that they actually had a winning record. So, or a good record. But I think we're going to see more of that kind of stuff happening. Just because, man, I just don't know how some of these other teams are going to stay alive. I mean, it's already been hell on Tulsa to stay as a relevant program. And it's a stepping stone for every single coach, whether it's men's basketball, women's basketball, or football. So you're going to need one of those things. And I'm wondering if...
Shout out to Chicken. Chicken says, sounds comparable to Okie Light's pitch. Come here and Oklahoma might take you.
Yeah, if you want to come here.
I love Chicken, man. Shout out to Chicken.
But yeah, I mean,
the brand has finally returned. Fuck your brand.
Boy, you crazy.
Shout out to Onikuno.
Oh,
sorry. Continue on. Sorry, Coop. I didn't mean.
No, I mean that's all. I'm just really like I think that a lot of people are like, hey, listen, as soon as rev share gets here in July, I think everything's going to settle down. No, it just muddies the water again all over, and
it's going to amp it up, guys.
Oh
it's
yeah,
going to amp it up.
The rev share is your hand stamp to get in the dance, bro. You ain't even bought a drink yet.
No,
that's it.
It's not. And now more than ever, I'm a little bit more worried about. I'm a little bit more worried about just how these conversations are going to go, because I think that like you have the guys of, hey, we can openly talk about money with the recruits, but you also have that super, super quiet backyard conversation that's going to start happening, and it's going to be different because you're not going to you're not going to know how much is Walter Nolan going to get, transferring from A&M to Ole Miss. How much is a John Mateer going to get, going to Oklahoma to play quarterback? How much is a big wide receiver, a Zion Branch or Zechariah Branch? Like, how much are those guys going to get? Like, nobody's going to have numbers on it because there's not any rules about transparency. And it's going to only strengthen the people who have the money.
Well, that you're absolutely right. You just say everybody on the team get 150, but then now you still got one Oklahoma or the Grove can add on top of that.
You can't touch it either. That's the whole thing about it, is that they've made it clear in the courts that you can't touch it. You cannot limit their ability to make it either.
Yeah.
You're not getting rid of it. It's not changing that.
But you got to look at this too, Coop. The early, I ain't gonna say enrollment, but like guys leaving for the draft is down 64%. Early enrollees for the draft is down 64%.
And you guarantee
that is a lot,
bro. The NFL loves that shit. They do.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. They do. They love it.
They get more film on you, and if you're going to listen, because think it this way, there is a guy right now. So this is the exception, not the rule. There's a William and Mary offensive tackle that's going to go in the top 3 rounds. William and Mary. There's a lot of college football fans that don't know that that's a college. Like, you're going to, instead of seeing a guy, let's bring up Tulsa. You got an offensive tackle at Tulsa. They're playing in the AAC. You're seeing them. The competition they're playing against isn't amped up. They play one P4 team. Their guy plays for 2 quarters and has some success against him, and you don't know. So now that cat goes, well, listen, instead of staying here for my senior year, I'm going to transfer to Kansas. So now I go to Kansas. Now I get new tape. Instead of drafting this kid in the 5th round and going, well, he projects, now you can go, all right, well, now he went to the Big 12 and pretending the Big 12 has some decent defenses. You get a chance to, see that. And I think that that's what's happening. Also, Marcus, if you got a guy who's going to, let's go with a Drake Stoops who goes undrafted. Instead of him going undrafted, he can come back to college. Dillon Gabriel. Why did Dillon Gabriel play at Oregon this past year? Because he was going to make more money there, and then he was going to make in the NFL. He's going to be an undrafted.
I don't even know how much it helped his draft stock. It may not have that much.
I think it made a little. I think it did
marginally.
I think everybody,
but he made more money either way. He
did. No doubt about that.
Because there is a downside to it too. Is Dillon Gabriel's been in college for a decade, and so he's been here for a while. So now him coming back, instead of being a 22-year-old quarterback, now you're a 23-year-old quarterback. That's not a big deal for quarterback. But what if it's a running back? What if you decide to come back as a running back? That's one more year on the tires. And guess what? NFL team might bump you to the 5th round instead of the 4th round. So I think that there's going to have a lot of situations like that to where the NFL is okay with guys coming back, because guess what? Now, instead of paying you as a guy who's a projected 12-year NFL guy, now you're potentially a 10-year NFL guy or an 11-year NFL guy. Now I've got more film on you. And there's still, there's still 1,000 people that hit the transfer portal that don't find a home. Yeah. So,
you can say this, Coop. Those 1,000 of kids that hit that portal, a lot of them were forced in there.
Yeah.
And that's something that I know, because I've had players that should have went to a FCS school and ended up getting a group of 5 and really was an FCS guy, and now you're but down to group of 5, or you can't find you can't find anywhere to go because of your pride. So a lot of those kids get that pink slip, and they don't want to tell you they got the pink slip. I'm gonna get in the portal, and they're just another way of saying I got the pink slip. I'm out.
Yeah, I like that you said the pride thing, because I was talking to, I won't even say the position, a skill position player that Oklahoma was in on out of high school. He ended up having to go a different route, and now he's in the portal. He wants back in. Well, now you've got a couple more years maturity. You've got some film. They see it. Now it's less about projection and more about, well, we do see some film on you, and some of the concerns are bigger. Right? That's what happens. And it's not always going to be a great story like a Giovanni Gibson who, goes for, or a Giovanni Gibson, or what's the defensive
Coleman
end
kid,
Florida.
Yeah.
Keon Coleman, all these guys, all of these guys who are coming from smaller schools going to bigger, it is much more likely that you're going to not make another leap than go from Pine Bluff to Blitnikoff. That's going to be the exception. But
2%, bro. 2%.
When you see an exception, we as humans, most of us, Sooner Cowboys does not fit this description. Most of us have a hope and a faith that we can achieve bigger. And you're not, most people aren't Chicken Little Eeyore situations where you're like, no, if I leave this school, I may never play football again. No, what it is, most of us have, if we see one miracle, we're like, I'm due a miracle. I'm chasing my miracle. And it doesn't always turn out that way.
And Coop, that's exactly right. I see kids that they're trying to make that jump, but and I don't know if you saw the clip, but when I saw Giovanni Gibson play Alcorn State, my alma mater, I was on the sideline with the president. I said it the next week on the show. I said, this kid can play anywhere in the country. I mean, from watching him, I'm like, how in the hell is he here? And then I had to go back and look at his backstory. He was a quarterback, didn't camp a lot. He was just one of those guys, and you're gonna have guys like that all the time. You just got to have a staff that can find those guys. That's going to be the
Yeah.
thing. You know, you got to have somebody who actually looking for that type of kid. And I think, you know, I think Nagy, I think he's one of those guys. That's what he's done for a living for the last, what, 5-6 years. So
Yeah.
you'll see him find that guy and might tell, you know, Coach Beanboy or Coach BV, look, I found this guy right here. Nobody knows about him. Let's look at it.
Mhm. Well,
And
that's
boom. And
why
then
Jim
you
Nagy
got
is
it.
there.
That's why he's there, bro.
Yeah.
That's
It-
why. And
it-
I told people this, and you know, I said after this spring is over with, this is my spider sense or whatever you want to call it. There's going to be an outlook to this team. What do we need? And the thing about it, Nagy has those connections, bro. And it is what it is. He's gonna make the phone calls. Do anybody have X, Y, and Z? These are the 3 things we need. And guess what? He's not gonna have to make the phone call because he knows so many agents, they're gonna call him. It's just being real. It's just where we at right now. And
yeah. And
those guys, if you got guys that have agents that they put out fillers to see who want what before they hit the portal, and some will put up a no contact Coop because they already know where they're going.
yeah, it's
You know,
listen, the tampering's never going to go away. It's not
it's
going to go
done.
away.
It's over with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Ain't no such
these-
thing as tampering nowadays.
no, it's not. And again, you also have to keep it in mind. I'll make more money in Q1 salary my life than I think my parents ever made in a year.
Right.
And I grew up extremely poor. Now, once I finally started making money, I wasted that mess. Yeah, I made $100K for a couple years as a single guy with bills that equaled about $500 a month. And I got nothing to show for it because I didn't have money. I was a person. It wasn't until my wife now got in the middle of me and was like, you're going to change some stuff about how you spend your money. And I still look at it every single day of,
Right.
the difference between going by and dropping $7 for a coffee or just brewing a pot, and
Right.
trying to do better. That's actually
Most
Mountain
people
Dew.
definitely go through the dumbass stage with money
Yeah.
if they've never had
But
it. For
I
sure.
did it.
but as you see 6'4" Chevy here, I love this story, but I guess daughter's boyfriend, it was Marquise Hayes, offensive lineman here at OU, and ends up going out and getting drafted. There's sometimes that you have to make decisions because of the family. You got the family situation. Who was it? There was a wide receiver, I think, here in the past couple of years that we were in on, and they had family. They needed money. Like money was the major piece. I mean, sometimes you're gonna have to just make a decision because it's the best thing for you to get money right now. And staying faithful and keeping your eyes on the prize and staying to the plan isn't an option for you because you have worked for 2 to 3 years. Looking at Thursday afternoon going, I could, and how many people have been here? I can spend money, my overdraft protection will take over, and my deposit's going to come through tonight, so I won't get an overdraft fee. I'll just start $85 in the hole. Like, we've all been there where you're like managing that last dollar.
Been there, young and dumb, yeah.
If you've been there for 3 or 4 years and somebody comes to you and says, hey, I think you're a pretty good player. What are you making here? I'm making $75,000. Well, what if I bumped it to $175,000? Are you telling me that a player who is staring at negative $85 of their checking account is not going to go, what are the details? Do I have a ticket paid? They're going, they're bouncing. They're going, I love it. This is all terrific. And again, I'm not going to go to that person and be like, you're a dumbass. You don't know what you're doing. You're throwing your future away. No, what they're doing is getting a meal without anxiety and stress wrapped around every single.
And not everybody has good people or the right people giving them advice either. And there's people out there that are absolutely trying to give them bad advice
and think they're giving good advice. That's the
you know what
that's
it
the
does?
deal.
And you know who I think of every time this comes up, I think about Bear Alexander. The kid gets terrible advice all the time and listens to it. It sucks, man.
It does. And so again, I'm going to read the 6'4" Chevy because he's talking about Marquise Hayes. So
Yeah.
again, another Bill Beanbo guy, another guy who should have probably came back another year. He gets bad advice. And again, is it bad advice because he wasn't ready? It's bad advice no matter what happened to him in the NFL. To leave early when your coaching staff and everybody's talking to you and having a conversation. But when it's in the grand scheme of thing, I can't say it's good or bad advice because if he's sitting there staring at it, red letters in his checking account, like bouncing as early as possible to make sure that you can take care of your family, I support that. I absolutely. Now, do I like it as a fan? No, I don't like it as a fan. But you go here.
Right. Had he had another opportunity to stay here and get some NIL, it would have been different for him.
Oh, yeah. Right? Yeah. If somebody would have said, hey, Marquise, we got $350 for you to come home and stick here around for one more year, guess what? He's here. But you make it out there. You're probably not ready. You go to a bad situation like the 3 different OCs in Arizona, or you end up in Cleveland. Just shitty situations that you can't make better.
Happens to quarterbacks all the time too, man. Shit. It happens to everybody all the time. There's a window that's this big in the NFL. If you don't hit that window correctly, it's over.
But Jason, Jason, here's something a little fact also that's kind of crazy. The NFL is looking at, with these young guys not coming in, some of them will be high draft picks. It's actually letting some of the older guys stay in the league a little bit longer.
That is.
And it's crazy, man, how this thing is working.
Hey.
So what now?
I'm about to lose my mind here a little bit.
But it's crazy.
Just the situation with what we have dealing around with. How in the hell is Russell Wilson being offered anything? There's no reason why that guy should have been offered a contract. Aaron Rodgers, same situation.
Nah, man, I don't get it. I don't get it. Maybe I'm a dumbass and
look how long
whatever the situation is. I just don't get it, man. It's time to move on from both of those guys in the NFL. And I think if you had a bunch of quarterbacks coming out this year,
yes,
I think neither one of them will have a contract.
10 million. Okay, so you're telling me this. We could pull up a poll in the chat. If you guys, how many of you people, you need a quarterback at the end of 7th round of your fantasy draft, how many of us are drafting Russell Wilson?
Nobody.
I would rather draft a rookie quarterback and hope that something might turn it, he might get his opportunity. But you're right, the quarterback game, and the reason why, and we're going off topic, and this is a soapbox moment. The reason why quarterbacks suck so bad in the NFL is because they quit teaching quarterback in college, and now it's all about the air, getting out the ball as fast as possible, and it's not so much about reading defenses, sitting back and shotgun. You're not taught football anymore at the quarterback position through most OCs. It is get it out as fast as possible, and you can get away with that. And so what's happening is you see guys who, when situations are right and rosy in the NFL, these quarterbacks can look pretty good. A Gardner Minshew, a Nick Foles, guys like that. Like they just can do good when things aren't scary. But if you put a D tackle anywhere around them, if you put pressure on them, if you got a good defense, these guys are absolute jokes and look like they don't deserve to be in the NFL. That being said, you're seeing that more and more with the quarterback, the quarterback role. You also took away the running backs. Whoever got Russ got a better deal than the Browns. The Browns are actually right now talking with trying to trade for Dak Prescott.
I don't care. I'm just saying.
Oh, for real?
Bro, I'm just telling you. Deshaun Watson is the worst deal in the history of the NFL.
No.
Guaranteed.
He got him. He got him now. I'm going to be honest with you. He got him.
Hey, that red ED pill works. Trust me, chicken. No, I mean, it's just crazy. Like Russell, his quarter. Okay, I would
He's
say
done,
that
bro.
Russell Wilson is in the bottom tier, 5%, whatever, of quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah,
Like, listen, I'm a Broncos
he's not.
fan.
He's
I'm
not
a
the only
Broncos
one
fan.
for sure. Y'all, you're right.
I do not
watched-
like him. I don't
I
like
don't
him.
like him
No.
either. He's a weird dude.
I'm
No.
gonna
too.
be honest with you. I
don't.
don't like him, man.
I
I
am
don't.
happy to have Bo Nix instead of Russell Wilson. That should tell you a lot. That should tell you a lot. But I just say this
Oh.
is, yeah, you got guys like this coming out. Like, let's be honest. Like, you got Shedeur Sanders, right? And then who's the other
Cam.
quarterback?
Cam Ward.
Cam Ward. Okay, I really personally feel neither of those are guys that I want to put my franchise on their back. Neither of them.
Nope.
Neither of them. Now, I don't see Andrew Luck. I don't see, I hate saying this out loud, Caleb Williams. I don't see a generational quarterback that has a lot to do. I see guys who were just really good at quarterback. And I see Cam Ward as a potential what's the Virginia?
Hey, Cam had the worst game day coach in college football last year. It had almost 5,000 yards. You got to say something for that.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, Cam's great, but I see Cam as like a Kyler Murray light, and Kyler hasn't done really anything in the NFL. I see Shedeur Sanders.
It's been a bad situation for him too, though.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why he won't leave, man. I don't know.
They paid him $200 million.
Yeah,
they paid him.
I forgot about that. Yeah, man.
He doesn't study his film, so
I could not. And see, that was the whole thing. I could not believe that they put that out there. Like, that tells you how bad the Bidwells are.
Oh, listen, Arizona and Cleveland are the two places that you want nothing to do, and then you have the second tier, which is like Jacksonville and some other franchises. I mean, but Houston. Listen, Houston right now is very, very lucky because C.J. Stroud has completely wiped away all the lack of faith from how they handle Jameis.
They got a great coach. They got a great coach on the come up, and they got a great quarterback on the come up too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they doing well.
And he's the first Ohio State quarterback in quite a long time to do a damn thing in the NFL.
He is.
Like they have had guy after guy after guy just not amount to anything. But
that's right.
But anyway, this quarterback situation in the NFL, it just continues to just kind of wear me thin because I'm watching.
It's not a good.
Doesn't Mitch Trubisky still have a job?
Oh yeah, and he's like one of the most like coveted backups. I mean, freaking Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph just signed another contract, and
Landry couldn't get a second contract, but Mason's about to get a third one.
I think Landry got a second one. He didn't get a third.
He did not get a second one.
I'm gonna have to look that up. I saw him.
He was a cap casualty there. He was a cap, and I mean, you go to a situation where Ben's in front of you, and he never really got that 2 or 3 or 4 games to where he could work it out. Every time Ben got hurt and was supposed to be out a month, he was back in a week. And you put Landry in against Belichick.
You're right. So
you know what I mean?
Like drafted by the Steelers in 13, played for them 3 seasons, got released because they drafted Mason Rudolph like right after him, and I thought, it's just kind of the same situation. But yeah, no, he's. You got.
I mean, little situations happen to where if you didn't, he had opportunities, and it's not that they were a bad team, but when you go up, you get your game that you get to replace Big Ben in. It's not playing against the Bengals. Belichick. You're playing Belichick. You're playing, or you're playing.
Well, let me ask you this, man. Here's the deal. Right. Does the agent you have a lot to do with that? Because I believe it does.
Most of it, because nobody that's the one.
But once you get that second contract, if you're a quarterback, even a second string guy or whatever, that second contract, you're a veteran now. The minimum for a quarterback is just so. It's better for them to pay a rookie guy on the rookie scale, unless you've already proven it. They just you have to have already proven something. Yeah. Look, there was a real possibility that Baker wasn't going to get a chance to do anything else anywhere.
Yeah. So, do you know that the rookie minimum is $840,000 and then if you're 7 years, for the minimum that is $1.2 million. So if you've been in the NFL for 7 years and you're making the minimum $1.2 million,
Right.
making the least amount of money at your job, and $840,000 1 year minimum, $960, 2 years mil. I mean, that's just crazy. And if you
a lot
go
of
out
guys
and you
get pushed
draft,
out because of that, man.
That's what I'm saying. That's what pushed Landry out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, you take like Derek Slater played with the Eagles this year. I've been knowing him. He played right here down the road, 3 minutes from my house at ICC, and went to Mississippi State. But guess what? On the cap side, they couldn't afford to keep him at the Eagles. Although he's not a dynamic, he's getting old, and his time is very limited. I mean, somebody else did pick him up, man, but they just could not afford.
Where's Nick Foles now? I mean,
You
he
see what
won
I'm
a damn
saying?
Super Bowl. I haven't seen him at all. He's not even
Well,
a
he-
backup anywhere, is he?
he was he was on like 5 different teams after he left the Eagles.
That's
And
crazy.
I think that like teams like, and that's the thing is when you got guys like Nick Foles is a guy who never could really just keep a start. There's the Josh Johnson kid who he's an African American kid.
Yeah, he was a baller, dude. He
I
played a
know
lot
you're
of places.
talking about.
He's a third string quarterback, and I think he played on like 9 teams. That was a guy who just kept on, getting jobs. Who was the Case Keenum? Case Keenum, another
Case Keenum, dude, that guy was a freaking 15-year player and never played.
and all he did is continue to get contracts. Just continue. It's just nuts.
I covered that kid when he was in high school, dude. I was at one of the South Lake Carroll games that he played.
Well,
He was a baller back then, but
was he Tech and Houston or just Houston? He was just Houston, right?
who? Case?
Case Keenum.
No. Wait, Case Keenum. No, I'm not. I'm not thinking about the right guy. No, I was thinking about what's his name that went to Mizzou.
Are you talking about Chase Daniel?
Chase Daniel. That's who I was thinking.
Old booger picker.
Yeah,
that's.
But hey, man, he had a 15-year career, dude. You know what I mean?
He made more money than I'll ever see, and literally never being asked to do anything.
Chilling.
Colt McCoy, another guy who just makes that backup quarterback money.
Yeah.
I'm trying to whoever's behind Tua. That's a good job security. I like to be Tua's backup quarterback.
Hey, Coach Dan, I hear you. I hear you. Hey, man.
Yeah, man, I'm finna have to get out of here, man. I got some honeydews to go do.
Go do your honeydews and get your ass out to the honey don't.
All right, man. Hey, look, I appreciate y'all, man. Good seeing you, Coop.
Hey, appreciate you, man. Make sure you
All right,
guys
man.
get over there and check him out on the Gridiron Inside. We had a great show the other night over there on his channel. Enjoyed it a lot. But yeah, man, we'll see. We'll talk to you later on, big dog.
Yeah. Later, brother man.
Later.
Jason, I got about 15 more, and then
That's about all I got to.
So I'm just I'm looking in here and just trying to go through the NFL. I don't know if this is great podcasting, so I don't think I'm going to do it. But I was just like looking through on like the quarterbacks, kind of where they went. And here's the thing: is I can say is you got LSU. Jared Goff was Cal, right? Cal Baker at OU. So I'm just going from most passing yards this year. So Baker, 3rd most passing yards in the NFL. Just I don't know if he made.
And he almost, man, you know how close it was for him not having a contract, especially with what the Browns were doing and talking about him like they were.
Listen, that Monday Night Football game where he gets signed and has to start for the Rams, that reignited for him. And I do think that he got kind of unlucky this year with the offensive coordinator, bouncing after deciding to stay. But yeah, just going through here. So Geno Smith, West Virginia, Sam Darnold, USC.
Geno Smith's had a longer career than he ever should have had, probably.
Yeah, and he sat back and just waited. Who's the Virginia Tech quarterback that Baker took his job? He was at Cleveland.
Virginia Tech quarterback? Because it was he got the job. Tryon. Oh yeah.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah. It's fuck. He's been with the Bills and stuff.
He might be on this passing.
Oh shit, man! It's on the tip of my tongue right here too, and I'm not getting it. And he ain't very good.
No, Tyrod Taylor.
Tyrod.
Yeah. So you can do that. All right. So here we go. So we've got Lamar Jackson, Louisville, Mahomes, Texas Tech, Aaron Rodgers, Methuselah University. Aaron Rodgers was Cal also, right? 2 Cal quarterbacks in the top 10. That's crazy. Just Herbert, Oregon, Purdy, Iowa State, OU, Bo Nix, Auburn, Oregon, Stafford. What was Stafford? Georgia. Josh Allen, Wyoming, CJ Stroud, Ohio State, Jaden Daniels, LSU, Caleb Williams, USC, OU, Kirk Cousins. All right, so I'm like looking through here, and it's like there's quarterbacks from all over the place. So I don't think that there's any big damn Gardner Minshew in the top 30 quarterback yards every single year for 35 years. That's another one where you get a guy like that who just stays behind. So listen, it's going to be tough on these quarterbacks, and I think that you look at some of these guys and their stat stuffers, they're going to continue to look good in the but how many people are really going to ride Joe Burrow in the playoffs? That defense, what they did in paying the crap out of both the wide receivers and him, I mean, they're not going to have any money for any defense, and their defense is what's holding them back.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold, I mean, I feel good for Sam Darnold. Let's see what happens in Seattle. I've always been against, hey, this quarterback has failed for 3 or 4 years, and then they go and they have one solid year, and then somebody gives them a shit ton of money. Like, I just don't understand that.
Look at what just happened. Kirk Cousins goes down there. What a dumbass that they were. They gave him all that damn $100 million or whatever it was, and then a couple of weeks later they draft
Penix,
and it's like, why? What?
Is that Arthur Blank? Is that
Arthur Blank was pissed too? He was in there giving him shit at the draft.
It's like they've made some curious moves. I know a couple Steelers fans who are going, "Hey, listen, why don't we call Atlanta and see what it would take to get Kirk Cousins?" Because Steelers might be a quarterback away from being a Super Bowl contender. Thing is there's no retreads out there. They already went through the retread market last year. There's no retreads and there's no free agents. And so they're either going to, and they're at a spot in the draft where you're going to take one of these iffy guys. And are you telling me that, I mean, you may think Jackson Dart's going to become somebody.
Well, and not only did they, but Coop, not only did they do that, but they took him in the top 10. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't think anybody else is going to go get him. You know what I mean?
Here's my thing. The way that the college game is going is now starting to affect the NFL. I'm kind of here for it just because you got to think that there's at least some conversation going on between the NFL and, I mean, I guess major decision makers. I would say the NCAA, but I don't think that the NFL gives a damn what the NCAA has to say. I think they're probably talking to Greg Sankey, talking to the commissioners and, just, hey, we need to do something because, some of our glue guys are staying in college to get an extra paycheck, or maybe they need to rethink the vet minimum. Maybe make that vet minimum a little bit higher and quit paying some of these clowns like old Rub and Tug, $450 gajillion to do nothing.
I was waiting for you to call him that old Rub and Tug. If you didn't, I would have.
I call him that so much now, I forget his name at times. I
always call him he's a freaking, I can't even imagine being one of those girls' dads, man. That he did that to. No, I can tell you now, it wouldn't have went down like that.
I don't want to go down that line of thinking just because.
I got a daughter and I got a granddaughter. I can tell you now, that motherfucker died.
What's funny is I was watching, and I don't know, maybe a spoiler alert for whoever's still watching here, but I was watching the Daredevil Born Again. I don't know if you're into comic book stuff like that, and but there's one of the episodes where they've got a guy, and he's a vigilante, and they somehow get him off, and he's free to go. They clear him of charges. And then he's like walking down the street, puts on his little vigilante mask, and then somebody comes out of the shadows and then pop right in the head. Done. Like all that work for nothing. And I'm just really surprised that there hasn't been one of those scenarios. I'm not calling for it, and I don't want to see it. And so I don't want anybody to get twisted and be like, Coop wants people to start killing folks. No, I don't want that. I'm just saying, like, I don't understand how none of these situations have happened through some of these guys who have had multiple on multiple people. Like, I guess it's just more common in the movies, or maybe they just know how to stay out of certain areas, or the security clearance, or whatever. But I'm surprised it just, there's not more backlash on it, because for that many people, you don't have one crazy brother, one crazy uncle, one crazy cousin who's already done some time and is like, I don't mind going back. Is like, I'm gonna take up for my niece or my daughter or something like that. But it's this world's just crazy, and I don't even like staring people down, while driving anymore. Like it just doesn't. Like people flip me off, and I'm like, do you know who I could be? Like I could be a psycho, and I could be like, ha ha ha, and because we live in Oklahoma, everybody can just tote a gun around, and the world is crazy. That's what I don't know why we just got off on that one. Good job, Jason. Way to get us off subject.
Hey, shut it up. Old rub and tug. That's a great one. All right. Hey, I know you got to get out of here. I got to get out of here too, man. I appreciate it. It was a great show today, though. We talked about a lot of different things, and it's been a lot of fun. I always love it when we get I've said this a bunch of times. I defy you to find a show that has better content creators come on here and, on the show by show basis. We just do that. We are great with our guests. We just are.
I like it. And also like one of the things about having those two cats on here earlier,
dude, I love those dudes, man.
Is having Boganowski and Dent on is we get a chance to, because listen, I had Kchris. Let's make fun of Kchris real quick. If anybody wants to, here we go. I talked, talks very sad now chicken. Everybody, you can go to Kchris and tell him Coop was talking trash on Kchris. He accidentally sent me like a super casual fan like blurb that was written the other day, and I'm like reading through it thinking I'm about to get something juicy, and I'm like, new quarterback transfer, John Mateer, if you haven't heard about him yet. And I'm like, why is he sending me this? And then he ends up telling me that it was another buddy that similar name, and he sent it to him. But the reason why I say that is because there's so many people. I mean, between Oklahoma Breakdown, OU Insider, us, Sooner Scoop, you guys.
Got a great group of dudes anyways, for sure.
Yeah, JP and Trav. There's a bunch of people kind of in our circle, and I think that there's probably 50,000 people who don't follow super intensely. Like literally whatever pops up on their phone and tells them that's Sooner news for them, right? We have Sooners Wire through USA Today, and I've seen the numbers on that. And so like if you've got 450,000 OU fans across the country, I mean, really it's, a small percentage of people watch and consume this content. So to start off this comment, appreciate every single person. If you are watching this recorded and you have now fast forwarded and you're like 3 hours, all right, so I'm watching this whole thing. So you get in and you do it, you watch us. I appreciate it. I just really do. But anyway, Kchris sends me this deal and I'm reading through it, and I was just like, I already know this. And then I send something to somebody else. I send the same thing to some more casual people that I send stuff to, and they're like, oh man, thanks for all the inside and stuff. And I'm like, that's kind of funny. But I think that getting to hear Boganowski and getting to talk to Autry Dent, or as Coach Marcus Dent, I think it's great because it's not.
Bro, he's a good content creator himself. When he does, hey, those guys kill it.
Yeah, it's not. But I'm saying it's not like, hey, listen, this is me interpreting something that I saw off of this guy. Because let's be honest, like if I go to practice and I have a conversation, I get to talk about what I saw. Or if I have a coach send me something, I get to tell you what he says. And I'm not going to tell you who said it, but I get to tell you what he says. If I talk to a player, I get to see that thing. Talk to these parents, they get to see these things, and they get to really, really talk about what this is. So with that being said, like, that's why it's cool to have, a show to where, I have somebody talk to me about, about just the vibes of the offense. And I was like, hey, how'd the offense go today? Like, really, really excited about this. Like, let's tell me. And he was like, bro, I'm just excited about it. It's fluid. The energy's there. And I don't need to see clips. I don't need to see highlights. I don't need to see the stuff. But a person who is there looking at the practice get a chance to really feel like what they're seeing. And you can talk to both of those guys, and you can generally see that this is not sunshine pumping. Like, they're excited. They're excited by what they saw. And that's why
you know what, one thing I do want to broach with you before we get off of here. Teddy and Gabe the other day, that was an odd exchange, man. I ended up watching it last night. Which one was it? We don't have the running back that we need in the room. He's not on campus. I always agree with these guys, and I can't get my head around what they were talking about.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
I didn't believe it until I saw. I mean, and we were talking about it on Kchris, and when I was with Kchris and them, it was wild, dude.
I would say this. I think from the running back perspective, I think we have a full room, and I think we got a lot of guys who can do great things. I just really think that it's going to be once you get into the fall camp, it's going to be a little bit of a sprint to get 2 people who are I can count on you, and then like rolls for 2 more. And I mean, I'm not worried about the running back room. I'm not, because guess what?
I'm not either. That's what I was saying on the show last night.
Line. And remember how we were talking about OU played in like a 20-yard box all year long. Nobody was scared of anything. I promise you, a couple bombs out to Giovanni, a couple bombs to Sategna, a couple bombs to Burks, and then those holes are going to open up. And then that's what happens when you saw at the end of the year 2 years ago where Gavin Sawchuk was breaking off 100-yard games every week, is because the offense started opening up, and Nick Anderson and Jaden Gibson started catching bombs. And what happened? That all of a sudden opens up the offense, and now they got some room to run. When all freaking 22 players are in a 10-yard box, it's not going to work.
I agree with you, and I'm that's where I was too. But it was weird to me. I mean, you got to go watch it, I guess, because it's that first 20 or 30 minutes, and I'm just thinking. And listen, I love Teddy and Gabe. I think they're the best. You know what I mean? But I just had a hard time understanding it. Where they were coming from. It was weird. It was kind of weird.
Here, so just last thing here, Jay Gibson. The last kind of update I got was that he did have, he was still rehabbing and coming back from his injury. Yeah. He tweaked it a little bit. He had some soreness that wasn't supposed to be there, and they're addressing that. I would say this is Jay Gibson is probably somebody that I would say probably starts playing the last non-conference game. If things stay on task,
a month or so in,
you get to see him kind of slowly take off. Luckily,
and that's great if you get that,
and because he gets to get out there and come back on his own terms. Last year, that was the big thing, is nobody else is coming back, and I don't really see a reason why. Because if Deion Burks came back and started playing in the bowl game, what's going to happen? The same crap that happened to him in the year to where he was the only person out there running and getting several of the targets, and then getting just absolutely just drilled over and over and over again. God. And, I mean, the hit that kind of took him out, the guy hit him in the back. Kind of like Taylor Tatum in the back of the head situation.
So it was so bad, dude. It was so bad in that Mizzou game.
It's going to be great for Giovanni Gibson for Jaden Gibson, because he'll get to come back at his own pace.
And
then
you know when
he'll
he
probably
gets
be
out
hitting
there, he's gonna make the most of it too. The kid is just he's got canine DNA in him, man. He is a dog. Period.
He's just what I call a watch this. He's a watch this player because he's a guy who they'll say, Gibson, you're up, and he's going to turn towards EJ and he'll go, watch this. And he's going to go out there and he's going to make some jumping catch, falling out of bounds.
I cannot
you know,
wait for that. I
on a
cannot wait.
3rd and 12.
I love
And
it. I
so-
can't wait. I
But
can't wait to see
he's
it.
going to get to come back later in the year, and so he's probably going to be peaking towards the end of the year. And so
Which
what
could
it's
be
going to
great
do
for Oklahoma too. I mean, whatever we get out of him is going to be, I believe, is cream. You know, it's a bonus. Whatever you get out of him after an injury like that is a bonus. But it could work out in a very fortuitous situation. For everything that went as shitty as it did last year, and this is where we can end it right here. For everything that went as shitty as it did last year, and we talked about this, you may not end up with the situation that you're in this year. Yeah, they still have the toughest schedule in the country. There's no two ways around it. But there's some things that could go their way. And if it does, this could be a special year. Get ready. For all you haters out there, and you guys know who I'm talking about, continue. Please do hate and keep the energy because there's going to be plenty of stuff to talk about.
Yeah, and
better hope you're right.
And this year is really, really big, and this is why I say that, is because the 2 bad years that Brent Venables had, both you can go to and speak to some things, and it's legitimate and it makes sense.
I know,
this is a year just like 2 years ago to where it's like, all right,
do something.
It doesn't, there's nothing there. Now, as long as no complete, like, out of left field doesn't happen ever in college football situation happens, like losing your top 6 receivers. As long as nothing like that happens, Jason, I've got money on 10 wins. Physical money, not verbiage, not bragging rights. I have cash money on 10 wins. And I don't worry about that number at all.
I think you could get there.
And
I think 9 wins is. I mean, the more I think about it, I think it could happen. And if you get to 9, you might get in the damn playoff with this schedule, because you will have beaten some at 9-3. You will have beaten some combination of Michigan, Texas, Ole Miss, LSU,
Alabama, LSU. Auburn.
Yeah, Alabama.
I mean, those are. Listen, that's why our schedule is what it is because nobody else has Michigan, Auburn, Alabama, South Carolina, Ole Miss. Nobody has those names. It literally looks like you're listing off some really, really, like the clout of college football. Nope, that's our schedule. And here's what I want. I want to look back at the end of this year, and I want to say, yeah, it sucks for Ole Miss because they had Oklahoma on their schedule. That's what I want to get to. There's going
to be an opportunity for that. And you know what?
Team win the national championship? I don't know. I don't think so.
I'm not going to go there. I'm not going there, man. But here's the thing. If that defense, that's going to be a defense saying, what do we look like in those few places that do you stay healthy enough in the linebacker room that you don't have to go too deep? Yeah. Does Gentry stay healthy? And do you find another guy at the corner position that can step in if he doesn't? That's the difference of even maybe the playoff or not. But I think it could be a special season. I'm not ready to go there yet on even wins and losses so much. But I will say I think that it could be unbelievably good. And I think that the worst case scenario is still probably around 8.
Our schedule, and I won't type it because I'm saying this, and our schedule is set up better than it is last year, like easier. It looks harder, but the like who we play
unless you really pay attention to it, yeah, because there's no way Mizzou's coming to town and beating them after the shit all that shit Drink's been talking. Come on.
No, and they lost. I mean, listen, them and Texas both are towards the end of the college football as far as returning production, and that's not good. I think
they're just reloading. Yeah, okay.
Too. Yeah, there's not reloading. Listen, Texas, they reloaded last year and they did it right. If they do it again this year, then I'm going to change my tune going forward. I just think it's hard to do it 2 years in a row, replacing 65, 70% of your team. I just really do. And so yeah, I'm excited about this team. I think that this team literally has a chance. And here's where this is my last thing I'm saying. Buy stock in the defensive ends.
Oh.
That was the one thing that I was saying. If OU gets defensive end production, like consistent out of both sides, as great as our Mason Thomas did, all of his production came in about 20 minutes throughout the season. Like most of his production all came bang, 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 bang.
Yep.
If you have people on both sides with Marvin Jones, with our Mason Thomas, with Danny Okoye, with the entire crew of the defensive ends, PJ Adebawore is starting to finally see it. If you get 4 defensive ends balling out with the defensive tackles that we already have, Jason, there's the cornerbacks can struggle a little bit more.
Yeah, listen. Yeah, if they have to get the ball off in a second and a half, or they're dead.
Yeah, but Jason, you still have Jacoby Johnson. You still have Eli Bowen. You still.
I'm not saying they don't have guys in the room. I'm just saying
you've got lots of them. Yeah,
right. And I think that I don't know that you're going to find anybody that's got more experience and is better, got better upside than what you already have in the room. What we've talked about, and this is where we started this conversation, was the Jim Nagy move. And obviously the first thing he said was they convinced me that they are buying into the NFL system, and this is what we can do to help. So you have to believe that, yes, he believes he can out recruit, or he's gonna identify better talent than any of the recruiting services, and they will. But this is a staff that has already been doing that. They've been recruiting over the top of guys that were here. You talked about, I mean, I love Woody Washington, love that guy. He got over recruited 2 years ago.
Yeah. And I said it going into this year. I said, this is a world where I'm not sure Woody Washington or Jalil Farouk have a place on this team. Yep. I'll go with a net neutral on Farouk, but again, anytime that you saw plays going, it was either
was
on
a little different, man. He was good.
Yeah, but you saw Kenai Walker and Woody Washington being over athleted week in and week out. You run a crosser and you make Woody chase you across the field, and the difference between the 4.6 and the 4.4 gets more evident. And then what's his name? Des Malone ran almost a 4.8. Like,
yeah, I mean, guys, you got to end. Well, and when that starts happening and you start having when you can't score a touchdown, then you get Billy doing things that he shouldn't be doing, like sticking his nose in and looking in the backfield instead of staying in your assignment.
Pressure that the defense can't do anything, can't give up anything, and possibly needs to just score.
They need to score for you. Yeah,
you had that pressure. You had that pressure on them last year.
Your 2 SEC wins, the defense scored.
You had it at the very, very, very beginning of the Texas game. Brent Venables is screaming on the sideline, we need to score to win. You can't do that. You can't tell your players, play within the system and just trust your practice and trust your
and just
your
abort.
And then go do something that we don't ask. You don't ask your defense to go score. You ask your defense to prevent score. That's it. And so, listen, I don't know where we're going to be by July with the hopium and with the potential, but I think that
JD PicKell needs to shut up, or else it's going to get real bad.
Well, we're going to see. We're going to see a little bit further down the line. We're going to see everybody turn. Everybody will, or everybody's going to. There's going to be a faction of people who go, Oklahoma is somebody that you need to watch. There's the question of who's outside the top 10 that you could see disrupting in the playoff. And Oklahoma's going to be.
If you're not one of the people saying Oklahoma, then you're not paying much attention.
But then you're going to have the contradictorians. You're going to have the Stephen A. Smith.
The Texas guys.
Paul, you're probably going to have that where they're going to go, yes, but, everybody's going to talk out of both sides of their mouth. Look at this. Jim that our team
just so
found
that they
in the
can
portal.
say that we did call it when they do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they'll hedge their bet too, Jason. They'll
Yeah, they
say,
will.
I don't see this happening. And here's why. Because John Mateer is not going to come out of the non-conference and come into the SEC and do the same thing. They have no receivers. They don't have an offensive line. But
take away 15 touchdowns from last year, and he's still really good.
Well, no, and they're all going to say all that, and then they're going to say, but there is a path because of the schedule. If they were to win 9 games, there's going to be that. It's going to be hedging on both sides.
Oh, I agree. I see it coming. I was saying it earlier. Me and Jay were talking about it on Twitter the other day. It was like, I don't like this. I don't like it.
We need and here's the thing is Giovanni Gibson has done 0.0 good things in the SEC. He's done nothing. He's done nothing.
I don't care.
So that's all speculation.
But
John
all of
Mateer's
that
done
stuff,
nothing.
the things that he does well, and you can go back and look at the film. The things that he does well does translate. The size, the speed, and the getting in and out of routes translates.
I will say this.
I'm
John Mateer will be on the all SEC team. John Mateer will be on the all SEC team. I don't know where it's going to be. That could be first, second, and third. All honorable.
If he is, then Giovanni Gibson is probably on it too.
And so that's. I will do a bold prediction. I'm going to do a top 10 this year. My 10 bold predictions, and maybe I'll come on and I'll bring it on here. Number 1 is Oklahoma State's going to the playoff. I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you. I gave you that last year, and you lost your mind.
I ate your lunch over it and still went.
Hey, listen, they got unlucky.
People that are negative and voicing their opinion are the same ones that can't pay their own bills.
Listen, that I'm so over Mike Gundy. But anyway, I'm going to put the predictions, and I'll bring him out here.
Can't stand his ass. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brother, we got to
and then, Bauer Sharp, again, that clip of him catching the one-handed pass was incomplete. He dropped the ball.
He did drop the ball.
Which is exactly what happened here last year.
So Coach Top pointed it out. I was laughing. Coach Top was in his grill. Shout out to Coach Top. I love that dude.
Well, it's like it's weird because you're like, you flex that and you're like, what is your thought process like, man, I hope nobody really looks into this. Did you not see the edits on the Colorado spring game stuff last year?
Oh, Lord.
Where they're throwing balls that are floating through space and everybody was making fun of it. It's off season. Put something out and see that, like, if it's wrong, people are going to find that shit out. They're going to find it pretty quickly. But he drops the ball. It was the same thing last year. It was, oh, look how he got Bauer Sharp streaking down the middle. Ball hits him in the hands, and he dropped it. Like, that was last year. So if LSU people are like, but look at this. So that's all right. Yeah. That's it. That's all I'm going to go with today.
I hope that I think that just keep sleeping on them. That's all I'm saying. I don't know what 9 they might win, and I think that I really do feel like 8 is like worst case scenario. But you got to get health. Health obviously is a big thing, and I understand why people are still, as you said. I understand if you're still saying no. You're going to show me this before I get into that. Before I get there. I get it.
There's nothing wrong with that. Like,
but I will say, but at least, give us that reason that it's like, look, don't just say because they suck. This coach sucks. Come on, man. You have to acknowledge some of the things that happened and that 4 other games they probably should have won at minimum. And if they just win 2 of them, that's an 8-win season with the worst offense you've ever seen.
And
if you're an Oklahoma fan, that's the worst offense you've ever seen. Unless you're, in your 80s at this point. Well, the 90s.
There's a few 90s, and that Trevor Knight year.
Yeah, but they were worse. They were worse than Trevor Knight's year.
I know. But, I mean, they were also playing a pretty weak Big 12 at that point, too. But, oh, yeah, chicken, yeah. And they also said Bauer Sharp is a good blocker. There's things that you can get better at with a change of scenery. I ain't thinking that's one of them.
It is what it is, man. It is what it is. It's going to be, man, I'm looking forward to this year. I'm looking forward to pulling some of them receipts from some folks that have been talking that shit. So it'll be fun.
I'm gonna let you take care of the receipt thing.
You
Just
know I will.
because
I'm petty.
you're
Hey,
gonna
I'm
be-
Richard Petty, bro. Richard Petty.
Oh, you need to get yourself one of them cowboy straw hats he always used to wear.
Hey, audience, send it to me. The address is in the description. Send it to me.
Yeah, good stuff.
I need a Richard Petty hat for sure. All I know, here's one prediction I will make. They beat Texas. They're in the icy whites. They beat Texas.
Guys, I'm just saying, if I will never talk trash on Texas again if they are able to load up again and do what they did last year. I just don't see it happening. I didn't see it happening last year. And
I may have been. I was a year ahead, and I was a year ahead on Oklahoma State too, but I knew that it was coming. Just remember,
and
I may have been a year ahead.
And remember, the only successful year Texas has is that Arch wins the Heisman and they win the national championship. That's what the money
where the bar
says,
is.
take it. That's the bar they're setting, and all the yeah, that's it. I'm done. I'm not going to say anything else because I'm not going to trash on.
We have plenty of time. We have plenty of time.
The 7-on-7 highlights where guys are catching passes against no defensive back, and everybody's like, "It might be the best ball I've ever seen thrown."
Kind of like the Auburn one, well, there was a DB there, but there was no pass rush. It checked out that he made that throw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's pretty good when you don't actually make him think.
Nobody's there. Just hit the guy on the sideline. That's all we need you to do. We just need to put it out there. All right, guys. Appreciate everybody coming in. Coop, appreciate you coming in, my guy. Stick with me for just a second while I shut it down. Talk to you guys all later. Make sure you hit that like button if you haven't already done so. We'll see you on the next one.